Deserved. Will be deserved.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Dusk Till Dawn. This is the final table of the main event of the World Championship of Amateur Poker. So play just underway. Leigh, you're stood at the final table. Over to you, my friend.
I very much am. So we are 8-handed at this final table. We did start with 9-handed. The guys finished just before the break, about 20 minutes. We've got to a final table, so we just let them play out the break and then chipped up for starting the live stream. In that 20 minutes, we did lose a player in Marius Mantu, finished in 9th place, where came up to the final table as one of the short stack, actually trebled up one of the early hands, and then got it all in against the chip leader, King 5 versus Queen 5, and unfortunately the Queen 5 outdid King 5. So unfortunately, Marius departed in 9th place. But let me run you around the table and tell you who we've got as players. I'll just give you an idea. So we're now in level 24. So blinds are 100,000, 200,000. So at the table, in seat 1 is James Morris, playing around 2.2 million at the moment, is James. Seat 2 is Ricky Kajaf. He's playing about 7.5 million, roughly. We just quickly did these counts at the break for a second. Seat 3 is John Brown. John's got about 3.5 mil, roughly. Seat 4 is Wadey. Short stack at this table at the moment with 1.5 million. In seat 5 is Dane Callan. Dane's playing about 8.5 million. Our chip leader at the moment is in seat 7. That's Mattis. He's playing about 15, 16 million chips, roughly. And seat 8 is Nick Boyer, who's playing 7 million. And finally in seat 9, Dan Fisher. Got around 4 million in chips, we think. So that's roughly where we're at. So as I say, blinds are 100, 200,000 at the moment. 8 players remaining. Still a whopping £45,000 worth of prize pool still to be paid for. The guys have now locked up £2,150. It then jumps 2,500, 2,900, 3,400, 4,000 gets you up to 4th place money. Then those medal positions. 3rd place, £6,000 plus the bronze medal. 2nd place is £9,000 plus the silver medal. And of course, the WCOAP main event champion for 2024 will pick up the gold medal, the bracelet, and £15,000. Let me show you the bling on show over by the final table.
There it is.
There we go. This is what the guys are playing for.
Yes,
so
please.
As we always say, if you're new to an APAT event, live stream, we're right by the table where the players are playing. So sometimes I go a little bit quiet because they're in a hand and I don't want to say anything that puts off anything that might be going on, but I'll try and give you all the action. Talking about action, it's folded all the way round to James in seat 1, and in the cut-off hand he's shoved his stack of about 2 million chips and gets that one through. So on we go. So yeah, I will describe the action that's going on. You'll see all of the cards that they see at the table, and pretty much it's a ballad. 30-second delay, if that. So if you recognise anybody at the table, feel free to share the link so their friends can and family can follow along. But we will be playing this down to a conclusion tonight. So let us know in the chat who you are railing for here. So next hand here, we've got Wadey in a small blind, Dane's in a big blind, which means Mattis is first to act. Our chip leader, he folds, as does Nick, as does Dan. Round we go to James, shoved last hand, and he is all in again. Fold from Ricky and John. Just the blinds to get through. Wadey folds, decision on Dane. Dane's asked for a count. So it's just over 2 million as the count.
think he'd like to call here, Leigh, by the look of things. Whether he can find it, of course.
He's going to let that go. Yeah.
So Musty is out there, Leigh. Come on, John Brown. There you go. First bit of support in the chat box.
So we pretty much played down to this final table. It's fairly much on time, actually. The guys have been playing sort of between 30 and 40 bigs as an average stack for most of this now. We're currently playing about 32 bigs, so it's kind of flowing as we would expect it to. Obviously, we're now really in the big money position here, Des, aren't we? It's all to play for.
Yeah, it gets a bit serious. Mind you, in saying that, Leigh, it was equally serious last year, but actually the final table played out pretty quickly. It was certainly an entertaining affair. You'd have to say the first, 3-4 hours of play today also played pretty quickly. So we know these players aren't afraid to get it in. So it'll be interesting to see.
So John Brown's raised it up to 575,000, folded round to Mattis in the big blind, our chip leader at the moment. Decision on him. And he decides to fold just as you zoomed in, Des. How about that? Eh?
Yeah, it's okay. I think he felt the glare of the camera, Leigh. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, what sort of pace we get at the start of the final table. Whether players are just, being super careful, cautious because the jumps are becoming pretty steep. But I don't get a sense that it'll be like that, though, I have to say.
Yeah, we will see. So next hand has got Dane on the button. It's Mattis in the small blind, Nick in the big blind. Dan folds under the gun. Around we go to James Morris. He folds as well, as does Ricky, as does John and Wadey. So we're round to Dane on the button. And he makes it 625,000. And both the blinds fold. So for those of you watching, the grey chips are I think they're 500,000 chips. Yeah, they're 500,000 chips. The greens are 100Ks, and the kind of pinks are 25,000.
Thanks, Leigh.
With a whopping 51.8 million chips in play, Des.
Wow, wowzers!
It's been a busy few days here at Dust Till Dawn. 518 runners in total for this event. We got a prize pool just over 90,000, which is absolutely superb. And what's been a rammed cards on the Dust Till Dawn for the whole week.
Absolutely fantastically. And Matt Cleaves, who was one of those players, is in the chat box, says, absolutely amazing weekend, guys. First time ever playing poker live, and everyone was very welcoming. Good luck to the final 8. Thank you, Matt. It was good to meet you.
Wadey is all in from mid-position. Dane's folded. Mattis on the button is made the call. So the blinds have got out of the way. So Wadey shows Jack 10 of diamonds. He's up against Ace King of Mattis. It's a Jack 10 at risk. Here we go. Queen 3 Ace. Wadey's on his feet, not looking good. And Jack on the river is not going to be it. And we're going to lose Wadey in 8th place. Very well played to him. He's going to pick up £2,150. Off goes the DPD reg. Very well played from him. He said earlier on, somebody said, "Oh, you're looking good at this one." He said, I don't know. He said, "This is a very tough field." And he should know.
Indeed he should. Great performance getting this deep. DTD reg, a DTD legend.
Guys, feel free if you want to move around a little bit and give yourselves a bit more space. You're more than welcome to do that. Yeah.
It's a big old table, though, Leigh. In contrast with what they've been used to for the last couple of days. There's
Yeah, no,
a
very
good deal
much
of
so.
space there, isn't there?
So raised to 575 from John. Dane folds, Mattis folds, Nick folds, as does Dan. So just James in the big blind, and he folds, and John gets another one through. Nicely adds to his stack. 500,000 chips in play, Des, before we start, so it's well worth winning.
It's worth winning. Good number of you watching in there, guys and girls. Do feel free to ask questions or throw a bit of support to any of these players.
So next hand, and it's James Morris in the small blind, Ricky Kishav in the big blind. John folds, Dane folds, Mattis folds, as does Nick and Dan. So we're literally blind on blind here. Small blind made up, and big blind checks the option. So the board is 5, Jack 9. Check from James, and Ricky fires out a little bet, and that's good enough to take that one down. So we'll try and also keep you updated on what's going on around the room, because there's a load of events still playing. The shootout is down to the final 3, I think, and PLO8 is on the go. There is a triple low ball comp as well, and there'll be very soon the start of the final mini main day 1 of the week. So raise from Dan Fisher out of beat 9, and going to get called by John Brown in the big blind. So we're going to see a flop here, which is 5 ace king. Check from John. Dan fires out 300,000 and gets that through. So whilst they're quickly waiting for the next hand, let me show you the shootout situation. Great. See where they're at. They're still 3-handed in the shootout. So you got Dave Howard and Graham Maguire and Bart is there. So those are the 3 remaining in that, all fighting for the on the wrong side to show you the bling. You can just see it there. There you go. There you go. So we'll fire back to the main. Not missed anything here. The guys are still dwelling on this hand. And it's Mattis has folded under the gun, and it's a raise to 525,000 from Nick. Dan gets out of the way, as does James and Ricky and John. So just the big blind of Dane to make a decision. So Dane re-raises it to 2.2 million, and Nick uses a time chip to have a little bit of a think about this one. And he says I'm all in.
Wow.
And Nick has got thing covered, I would say. So it's not much in it. And it's a fold from Dane. He says I can't. Nick says I can't show
Gets it
them.
through.
Yeah, but, yeah. Just you can just whisper to the people at home what it was. Yeah. So a little bit of power poker there, pre-flop, and Nick adds a nice little chunk to his stack there, Des.
Absolutely. Looks very happy with that, I have to say.
So as Des says, if you're out there in the chat, let us know who you're railing for here. We're down to 7 players in the WCOAP 2024 main event here live from dusk till dawn on a Sunday night, and there's no delay on any of this stream, so pretty much other than sort of 20-30 seconds it takes to load it, upload it, you're watching the action live from dusk till dawn in Nottingham as it happens. So Dane on the button this time, Mattis in the small blind, Nick in the big blind. Dan's folded, as has James and Ricky. Round we go to John Brown in seat 3. Counting out some chips. It's 450,000. Just Nick to act, and Nick shows 4 deuce. Not for him. He's not 3-betting with that, Des. That's for sure.
Leigh, I'm looking at that Poker Raffles banner in the background there, and I know you like a good tournament yourself. Just let anybody out there know who maybe doesn't know. We are raffling off a Hendon Mob Championship seat tonight at the Malta Poker Festival. So the seat plus £500. So enough to get you to the Malta Poker Festival. Maybe some time in a hotel or whatever. For that event, which takes place at the end of October. It's part of a chunky schedule of events, including APAT, at the Malta Poker Festival. That will be drawn later this evening. £5 per ticket. There are still some tickets left if you're interested in that type of event.
Yeah, well worth getting involved in. If you fancy it, Mattis raises this one up on the button, and actually, John. Yeah, we're all good. Just checking, we are all good. Yeah. So yeah, back on the poker raffle. So yeah, that's if you head on to pokerraffles.com. There you go. New way to win your tour seats. And as Des mentions, there is the draw on there at the moment for the Hendon Mob. Do you know what we can do, Des? On the live stream, we can give a special discount code. If you want to, if you're new to Poker Raffles, not giving it a try before, and want to buy some tickets for tonight's draw, if you enter the code WELCOME25 in the coupon checkout, you'll get 25% off your first order. So well worth it if you want to get involved in either the Hendon Mob or potentially the WPT Prime UK, which is on the site as well at the moment. Either of those. use welcome25 in the code and coupon code, and you will get 25% off your first order as a new customer. So well worth checking out.
Yeah, and at this festival alone, we had over 20 players who won their way into play WCOP main or side events.
All in the call. It's
Ace
King for James, Ace Queen for John. It's the Ace King at risk, 9, 3, 4, 3 on the turn, and Ace on the river. Means the King will play, and James Morris is going to get a double up through John Brown. Just going to count that up. So it was an initial raise from John, and shove out the big blind from James, which was called by John. And there you go. Our what was short stack at this final table. James Morris in seat 1 has now got a few more chips to play with.
Still there. So shootout Lee again, just to confirm, 3 left there: Graham Maguire, Dave Howard, and Bart DeBon. From the 77 starters, the PLO8, we are down to 27 from 118 that started. Let's have a look. Let's see if we can recognize any irregulars there. Richard Baker still in that. Andrew Bullen still there. Ben Burnhill still there. Jerome Dolly, Dutch player, still there. Joe Gaynard still there. Neville Harrington, Kai Hutchinson, Steve Jelinek, who won the triple stud a couple of nights ago, still there. Gary Lipman still in. Charles Mason, Richard Offless, Ryan Pearson, John Seal, Danny Strange, Peter Thorpe. So it's a veritable who's who of players who are well known within the APAC community, still vying for that PLO8 title. 27 down to 26 left now, and 25 left in the win the button. So interrupt me if you need to, Lee, if there's any action happening there. But
no, you crack on. I will shout if
good man.
Any serious chips go in the middle.
So the 26 left in the win the button include, and I'm just looking for names that might be known to our viewers: Michael Dawson, Chris Gilbert, Valerie Gray is there, Alan Haycock, Sam Holmes, Stephen Horvath, Gary Jackson, Andreas Kappart, Pen Lu, who we saw deep in the main earlier on, Stacey Metcalf, Eddie Niascu still there, Ben Shannon, Eddie Shaw, Ashley Spencer, Scott Wayne, Richard Wilcox. So again, quite a number of players that the wider community would know competing for the Win the Button tourney as well. The mixed triple draw started at 5 p.m. with 76 runners, still 72 in play. So there's your update from the outer tables.
So a little raise from James to 475,000. It's been called by Dane in out of the big blind. So we're going to see a flop here, which is 8 Queen Queen. Check from Dane. But back we go to the James, who makes it 350,000. All by Dane, so we're going to see a turn card here, which is the 10 of clubs. Goes check, check this time, Des. So we see with 6 of spades on the river. And
going in.
Dane bets out 900,000. And James is going to make the call. Pocket threes for Dane, and it's pocket sevens for James. So the 7s are good.
Nice hand.
Neither of them are connected with the board.
Yeah.
Tough
Lee,
spot for both of them actually. There, so it's not an easy. That's not an easy hand to play on that board with the under pairs.
no, not at all. Brave at the end. Bev O'Neill is out there, Lee, with a question. Can you show us what each player has in terms of chip stacks? So this isn't a traditional live stream, Bev. We don't sort of have that information coming into the stream, if you like. But I'm not sure, Lee. I mean, obviously, we went through chip stacks at the start of play. Whether we can get approximate counts by player, or whether that's
James. So James in seat 1 will be playing now about 4 million. I don't think Ricky's probably changed that much from the 7 million he had to start with. Just got a hand here a minute, which was a raise from James, called by John in the on the button.
Yeah.
So the board is 369.
Right.
And it's a raise to 525 from James, and John is all in.
Decision time.
And just getting that counted. And it's 2.625 million, I think.
I hope you're writing this down, Bev.
$2.725 million. Decision on James. He's popped the time bank chip in to have a little bit of thinking time. Makes the call. It's ace 10s for John, pocket 10s for James. It's clubs for John as well, with 2 clubs on the board. King of hearts on the turn, Jack of spades on the river, and we're going to lose John Brown in 7th place. John is going to pick up £2,500. Very well done to him, and we're going to be down to 6.
Like John, so Bev was also interested in payouts, Lee, which of course will be super easier to get.
I will do that now. Once we're just moving some chairs around to give the guys a bit more room at the table. Although it is a big old table, but they might as well spread out and enjoy themselves on this feature table. Yeah. So whilst we're stacking those up, so let me do payout to start with. That's the first one I can do. Head up there, and you can easily see those, and I'll just read them out for you. So 6th place now, they're all locked up, £2,900, and it's £3,400 for 5th place, £4,000 for 4th, £6,000 and the bronze medal for 3rd, £9,000 and the silver medal for 2nd, and £15,000 the APAC gold medal and the WCOAP main event championship bracelet for 2024 for the winner of that. So I'll have to rework out what James's stack might be now, because he's been adding some chips to them. So we'll try and work it. I'll see if he's got it counted up and knows in a minute. I'll let him stack them up first, and we'll get there in a minute with him. So let's have a look. So Ricky has got about 7 mil. Dane, how much are you playing now, roughly?
4.1.
Dane's got 4.1. See, there's an efficient professional when it comes to chip counting. 4.1 million. I like it. Mattis, how much have you got? 16 million, yeah, about the same as you started with, yeah. So Mattis has got about 16 million, still our chip leader, I reckon. Nick is playing 1. Hang on. How much is that, Nick? 1. Yeah.
Billion.
I'll have a look now. We'll work it out. Don't worry. That's a mil. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. About 8 mil. Nick's got, I think. And Dan has got 4. Lovely, 4 million. And we'll work out now where we are with James once he's got them all stacked up neatly again after winning a couple of big hands.
Musty says, well played, John Brown. Indeed, it was well played. 2 days. Great performance. Nice little payout at the end for John Brown.
So he's got 6 million in greens, 7 million, 8 million, probably about 9 mil. Yeah, roughly about 9 million. And blinds are 100, 200,000 at the moment with a 200,000 big blind ante. And we got another 9 minutes left of this level, which is level 24. So there you go. That's all the info I think you need, as we are down to 6 players from 518 that started this event. Prize pool of just over 90,000. And these are the final 6. 3 are going to get APAP medals. 3 are going to miss out, but get a very nice payday anyway. Locked up now, £2,900. So on we go, and it's nicking the button this time. It's folded around to Mattis, who's raised it up to 400,000 in the cut-off, and it's been called by James in the big blind. So those two are going to see a flop. Flop is 964 with a couple of diamonds on the board. Check from James. Action round to Mattis, who we've not really seen much of so far on this final table. And he makes it 350,000. It's a call from James, so we will see the turn card, which is the King of Diamonds. Check from James again. On check again, so King of Hearts is the river card. There you go. Check again from James. $600,000 is the bet from Mattis. Decision on James in seat 1. Makes the call, and Mattis shows 10-6, and James folds. 10-6 is going to be good on that board. 10-6 of hearts for Mattis, and our chip leader wins another nice little pot there, Des.
Yeah, they all count. John Conlon there, Dane for the win. So a bunch of you watching in, I hope you're enjoying the stream. Do let us know who you're calling for.
Oh, next hand has got Dan on the button, and James in the small blind, Ricky in the big blind. Dane to act first, and he makes it 600,000 to go under the gun. Round we go to Mattis, he folds. Over to Nick, top of your screen, red baseball cap, he folds. Dan gets out of the way as well. Just the blinds, this bottom end of your screen, James folds. Ricky in the big blind says, we'll take a look at this. Flicks a $500,000 chip in the middle, and we're going to see a flop, which is 639. Check from Ricky, and Dane fires out 1.1 million. And Ricky fairly quickly lets that go. So nice little pop for Dane, and on we'll go.
Good. Bev asks, blinds are going up to what? So I'm just looking behind you, Leigh. 5 minutes to go. The blinds are currently at 100k, 200k, with a 200k ante. So that's where we are. They will be going up.
It's due to go to 125k, 250k.
250
at the next level. Average stack at the moment is about 8.6 million.
Yeah.
With 6 left, just for you at home to give you a rough idea of where we are stack wise, which means the guys are playing roughly about 32 bigs average stack, which is pretty much how it's played all of the day too, between the 30 and 40 big blind range.
Yeah,
so for those of you that might just be tuning in, we should just say we've already lost in 9th place. Marius Mantu finished in 9th. Then we lost Wadey in 8th place, and then obviously you've seen the recent exit of John Brown in 7th place. So, race from James on the button being called by both blinds. So we're going to see a flop of 6 ace deuce, a couple of hearts on board. Check from Ricky in the small blind and Dane in the big blind, and that got James on the button reaching for some chips, and he makes it 450,000. Ricky very quickly folds. Dane's going to make the call. So both players will see the 6 of diamonds on the turn. Check again from Dane. Check from James. 8 of spades is the river card. It's gone check. Dane shows an ace with a 3, and James has got an ace with a 4. And with the 6s on the board, it means the 8 plays, and they will chop it up.
Very good. So for Bev, when those blinds go up, what it will do is it'll put a lot more pressure on the smaller stacks. And eventually it'll force them to get involved. So that is what the blinds going up will do. So Nigel comes in. Bev is actually right about the time banks. I play there regularly. You get 4 time banks at the start. You get 2 more if you reach the final. I don't know if APAT are using the same amount though. Well, I mean, the tournament's been operated by DTD, so it should be standard.
It's slightly different here. They basically froze the time banks when they got 2 tables out. That was it for the rest of the tournament. But you can see the guys have got a decent chunk of them. Let's just to show you. I mean, Ricky's still got about 4 time banks left. I think he's got there. James has got about 5 as well. So they've all got plenty. Dane's actually only got 1 left there, but most of them got a well time banked up for a final table, I think.
Yeah. Phil is out there and says, Dan for the win. Can he swap his local poker establishment, the Prince of Wales, and become the Sheriff of Nottingham? It's pun time. It's pun o'clock, Lee.
Dear, oh dear. so are we saying so? We're saying Dan plays at the Prince of Wales. Is that what we're saying? That's his local
I think
poker.
that's what I'm reading into that. Yes.
Yeah. The chat is saying, can you move from the Prince of Wales to become the Sheriff of Nottingham? Is the question. That's
that's the headline.
So Mattis makes up the small blind, and Nick checks his option in the big. So we see a board of Deuce, King, Jack with a couple of diamonds out there. And it's these 2 guys in the action. 200,000 is the bet on Mattis. And of course, so we're going to see a turn card, which is the 6 of spades. Check from Mattis this time. Goes check from Nick. So 9 of diamonds is the river card. I'll show you that's the board, guys. Go on, check. Neither of them want to show anything. It's
all.
So Nick shows 10 deuce, and 10 deuce is good enough. So that works.
Dear, oh dear. Phil says that's
Mattis
it. The Prince of
Wales. A little
Wales.
sheepish smile, and on we go.
Prince of Wales apparently is in East Putney, Lee.
Oh, the Prince of Wales is in East Putney. I'm hearing.
Yeah, dude. Have a closer look at his cap. is the
Dan,
advice.
I would be worried for you because clearly the chat on the stream clearly knows stuff about you. So this could get interesting. Yeah.
Leigh, point at that hat. Let's see if we can.
Oh, I need to get into the hat. So all
Let's
right.
get in. There we go. There we go.
Prince of Wales poker season.
Look at
Hang on.
that.
Hang
He's a
on.
champ.
I never
He's
knew we had a
representing.
season 9 champ in the.
Is he a pro, Leigh? Is he a pro? Find out.
We think he might be a pro. Yeah, we think he might be a pro. Yeah.
Just for Bev, yes, Bev. 40-minute levels. So we've literally just gone to level 25. We've got 39 minutes left at the level.
So Nick in the small blind, and it's Dan in the big blind here, and James has folded, and we've got a raise to 550,000 from Ricky. Dane is still out of the way. And Mattis is repopped it to 1.6. Let me see. No, so 1.575 million. 1,575,000. Precision back on Ricky. And he's going to make the call, so we're going to see a flop, Ricky and Mattis. And it's 10 ace deuce. Check from Ricky. Mattis makes it $1 million. Little thing from Ricky and calls, so we're going to see a turn card here, Des, which is the 9 of hearts. Check again from Ricky. And Mattis slides across all of his grey chips, which
Okay.
We'll see if his account required. It's certainly got Ricky covered, so it's pretty much pushing him all in himself. Let's see what he decides to do. I was just about to head round to get a better view, and he's folded. And
yeah, chooses to let that go.
Mattis shows Jack, Queen of Hearts. Got all sorts of draws there. And it was enough. Quick change of dealer, and we'll be good to go. But our chip leader adds to his stack. Played really well on the final table, Mattis.
Yeah.
So far in the hand he's been involved in. Right, so next hand is going to be Nick on the button, which means we're going to see Dan in the small blind, James in the big blind, and it will be Ricky to act first.
Peter Ashcroft out there. Leigh, go on, Dane. Take it down, mate.
So here we go. Ricky folds. Round we go to Dane. And he makes it 700,000 to play. Fold. Round to James on the big blind. And James folds.
So Bev says it's the best dealer now. She's really good. So we're talking about the young lady who's in picture now. You have to say, Leigh, all of the dealers, all of them, have been fantastic across the week. Absolutely no complaints from players, which is so unusual. The floor staff, management, dealers have really treated the APAT team and players very, very well.
Very much so. it's always a good sign when the dealer is getting compliments on the chat on the stream. That's always, for being a very good dealer, that is always a good sign. So that's folded all the way around, and Ricky gets a walk, and on we go. So James on the button this time, Ricky in the small blind, Dane in the big blind, which means it'll be Mattis to act first. Oh, shit, lead up. He folds, as does Nick, as does Dan. Round we go then to James on the button. Blind on blind then, Ricky and Dane. So Ricky makes up the small blind, and Dane says, I'm all in. Ricky's asked for a count. And very quickly lets it go.
Lets it go. There's a lot of love for Dane in the chat box, Lee. Talons on fire, says Craig Simpson. Glenn Whitehead, fish your way to the win, Dane. A lot of love for Dane. Bev says, really good standard of poker. Thanks for showing us the stream. You're more than welcome. Do you think there could be any deals tonight? Well, APAT we don't facilitate deals at our events because ultimately these players are playing for a title. They're playing for a bracelet that can't be split, medals that can't be split. So, what we wouldn't want to see is the fire going out of the final table early on. So, in the 18 years we've been around, we've stayed away from deals, I have to say.
So we folded all the way around to Ricky on the button. And I think he's got himself some raising chips there. He makes it 600,000. Dane folds out the small blind. Mattis in the big. I'll flip to see how much Ricky's playing, which is about probably got back about 3.5 mil. Mattis says I'm all in. So puts Ricky with a decision.
Looks pained.
Going to make the call.
Wow.
So it's pocket kings from Mattis. It's ace 5 for Ricky. It's the ace 5 that's at risk here. Here we go then.
Wow.
5-10 ace for Ricky. King on the turn.
Whoa.
There's diamonds out there as well, and a queen. And then that's a brutal way to exit. And Ricky is going to bust in 6th place, picking up £2,900. Very, very well played to him. And our chip leader adds to his stack. Bit of a roller coaster hand for Mattis. always a little bit easier when it's not your tournament life on the line, but quite happy to win the chips. Absolutely. So you mentioned the title and the championship. Let me show for those that are at home that might not have seen these yet. So these are the APAT medals and bracelet. The main event winner bracelet is a lovely gold bracelet this year. So that is for our 2024 WCOAP main event champion. And there is obviously the usual APAT gold medal, silver for 2nd place, and the rather fancy bronze medal for 3rd position. So those are for all of our events this year. 22 bracelet events here at Dusk Till Dawn this week. Top 3 have all got medals. Side event medals are a lovely silver medal, bracelet, and of course the gold for the main event for this one. And we are now down to 5 players.
Yowzers.
So I would say Dan is probably now our shortest stack at this final table of these remaining 5. Dane closely followed there, and obviously Mattis is just absolutely flying. I would suggest Mattis is probably up now somewhere near 23, 22, 23 million, something like that, which is kind of getting close to half the chips in play. Five-handed, there's 51.8 million in play in total, Des. So he is creeping closer to that half the chips in play mark. So on we'll go. It's Matt in the on the button this time, which means it'll be Nick in the small blind, Dan in the big blind, and it'll be James to act first. So James makes it 600,000. Dane folds. And Mattis re-raises it to 1.8 million. Nick gets out of the way, as did Dan. Decision back on James. Going to make the call. So 2 players to the flop. And it's ace 3-5. Check from James. And Mattis makes it 1.6 million. And James very quickly, before I can even get round there, has flicked his cards into the muck, and our chip leader adds to his chip stack.
He's played well there, Lee. He's been, chip leader now for quite some time, effectively. Not afraid to get involved, but you'd have to, I think, slightly favour him at this point, albeit I appreciate it's still early.
I would suggest looking at, where we're at. I think he's probably sat now on about 100 bigs, 5-handed, I would suggest. And he hasn't really put a foot wrong with his final table as far. I can't recall a hand that is kind of gone against him. He's nicely pot controlled when needed, and seems to have got maximum value out of some premium. Obviously, been dealt some nice hands. I think we have ace king and he's had kings obviously that we saw. So he's kind of had some nice hands, but at the same time he's played them well and seems to have got value out of them so far. But on we'll go. Say Dan on the button this time, which means it's going to be James in the small blind, Dane in the big blind, which means it'll be Mattis to act first. So it must be 8 o'clock in the evening, Des, because I can hear them calling in the mini main to start day 1D. So Dan is all in on the button. It's folded round. James is out of the way in the small blind, and Dane gets out of the way of the big blind. So we will move on, and Dane adds some much needed chips to his stack. So folded all the way around to Dane on the small blind. He makes up the small blind. Mattis looks across to his right, as you can see, counting up how many chips Dane's playing behind. and decides to check his options. So we're going to see two players do a flop, and the flop is 7-8-4. Two spades on the board. Dane checks. And Mattis makes it 300,000. Dane makes the call, so we're going to see a turn card, which is the Ace of Diamonds. Check again from Dane. Mattis just looking at him. Dane's keeping away. Check from Mattis as well. 5 of clubs is on the river. And Dane bets out 400,000. Mattis thought for a second about putting his time bank chip in, having given it more time, but no, decides to let it go. And Dane scoops that pot. So Dan under the gun folds, as does James. Next one round, so around to Dane on the button. And he makes it 700,000. And Mattis has a little think for a while and then folds. And Nick gets out of the way as well. And Dane scoops up back-to-back pots. So blinds are at 125,000 and 250,000 for those of you just might be tuning in. And we are now 5-handed in the WCOAP 2024 main event. This is the final table, the final 4. In seat 1 over there, top left, is James Morris. We've got Dane Talon in seat 5. Mattis Gudzimus in seat 7. Nick Barrier in seat 8. And finally, Dan Fisher in seat 9. They are our remaining 5. All now locked up, £3,400 minimum cash. Up top, still £15,000 for the winner, 9,000 for second, 6,000 for third, and 4,000 for fourth. So folded round to Mattis on the button, and he's made it 700,000. Decision with the baseball capped blinds, and they both fold. And our chip leader scoops up a little pot there, Des.
Yeah, the rich just keep getting richer, Lee. Bev says, if you have 25 million chips, how many bigs do you have? Well, big is 250k, so I guess 1 million chips is 4 bigs. And 25 million chips, Lee? 100 bigs?
100 bigs, as I said before. And
bigs.
I would say he's roughly got probably very close to half the chips in play now. So he has got about 25 million, I would say.
And I was always taught. I don't think I was ever taught, but you know, you get into the 10 bigs territory. It's time to really start considering how long you want to be in the tournament. I don't know if is that still a thing, Leigh?
Well, it's folded round to Mattis, who's made it $500,000 this time. Nick gets out of the way on the button, and the blinds get out of the way, and he scoops up some more. I mean, he's picking up 625,000 in blinds and antes there. So there's 625,000 in the middle before we even start five-handed here.
Yeah.
So, and I say I'm very careful what I say because I'm right by the table, so I don't ever want to say too much strategy with players listening in, because they need to make their own decisions on how they play. But what I would say is he's doing exactly what you would expect a chip leader to do in this position, five-handed, just keep chipping away at the players. Pressure. Absolutely. And playing position very, very well. This hand, he's under the gun and has folded. It's that. Of course, that opens the door to some of the other players. You know, the guys to his left are just in a horrible spot, really. But so this one's allowed Nick to raise it up to 675,000. Dan's got out of the way on the button, and James has folded in the small blind, so around to Dane in the big blind. Already put in 250,000 for his blind and 250,000 for the ante. Not that should make any difference, but he's going to make a call. He is, and so Dane and Nick are going to see a flop, and it is 4 Queen 7. And a check from Dane and a bet of 525,000 from Nick. And Dane folds. I've just been shown a photo, Des, from Mr. Tom Brady, and it is a picture of one Dave Howard holding a APAT bracelet, WCOAP 2024 bracelet, and APAT gold medal for winning the shootout side event.
Congratulations to Dave Howard, an ex-main event champion. Yeah, very impressive. Very impressive indeed.
Now we folded around to James on the button this time, and he has made it 600,000 to go. Just the blinds to get through. Dane folds out of the small blind, and it's Mattis on the big blind. And I mean, Mattis does what Mattis is doing. He stops, has a think about it, and this time lets this one go.
He looks like he's ready for a little sleep there, Leigh. He's got that head tilted. It's comfortable.
Seems very in control of this final table, to be honest.
Life's good, right?
Yeah, feels very in control of this final table. Seems to know where he's at in hand at the moment. All going smoothly. We'll see what happens, but we know how these things can change.
They can change very quickly.
But also sometimes it can just be in the zone, and everything you do seems to work. So next hand is going to be Mattis on the button, which means it'll be Nick and the small blind, Dan in the big blind, which means it'll be James to act first. So James folds. Dane makes it 650,000. Mattis folds from the button after staring Dane down for a little while. Nick folds, Dan folds, and so Dane scoops a few more chips.
Leigh, I'm about to make an executive decision. I think the poker raffles live draw, I'm going to push that back to midday tomorrow. I don't think we'll get it done easily. So I'm just about to post that in the Poker Raffles Facebook page. And I think we'll do that and the signed T-shirts at midday tomorrow. Obviously, the draws finish as published, 9 p.m. this evening. I think that might be the most sensible course of action. Wayne Park.
So got all in, got an all in and a call. So Dan is all in with ace 4 of hearts and it's ace 4 of clubs for Mattis. No one likes to see this end nastily. Right? Yeah, nobody likes to see this. And we're seeing King 10 Jack.
Safe.
Deuce. We're all good. We're all good. Yeah.
Leigh, so Wayne Parker asks an interesting question. Guys, with you using the top tabler, are you losing some of the rail atmosphere that APAT is known for? I don't think so, but what I would say that is maybe a little bit different to some of the APAT festivals that we've run in past years, Wayne, is that when you look around you here, there are just so many APAT tournaments still ongoing that, I don't think it would make a difference if the final table was being played, by the front door of DTD. I think lots and lots of players are just playing stuff right now as opposed to railing and standing around. So I don't think so. I mean, what do you think, Leigh?
No, I don't think. I think a number of players in the room seem to know some of the guys at this final table, and they're coming over and seeing how they're getting on. But other than that, everybody's sort of still very much playing their own poker. There's probably about 15, 20 people in the bar area at the moment. Some watching whatever sports on the TV. But I don't think it really makes much difference. And obviously, you can still have a rail here. Very much that is the case. Players can see what's going on if they need to. But I do know what Wayne means. We've had some amazing final tables. It obviously makes a massive difference if it's if there are some people on that final table that are maybe more long-standing APAC members or have been in the community for a lot longer, because obviously there's a lot more connection there. But these guys here are very much deserving of their moment on this amazing setup of a feature table. It's absolutely incredible up here at Just the Dawn, and getting to enjoy the moment and playing for some pretty big money. It's kind of the biggest money we pay out every year. Our main event at the WCOAP, £15,000 up top. I think very much they should be have a little bit of space around them and playing on a really cracking poker table to be sat at. So on we go with the next hand. Dane in the on the button this time, which means it's Mathis in the small blind. Nick in the big blind, which means it'll be down to act first. Dan being our short stack at this table of 5. He folds. Round we go to James. He folds, as does the, so it's blind on blind. Dane's out of the way as well. Mattis deciding what to do. He's having a little eye up of Nick's stack there. And he is going to make up the small blind. Nick says, I will check my option, and we will see a flop. And it is 5, 7, 8 with a couple of spades. Goes check, check. So it's Queen of Diamonds on the turn. And we're checking again, which means we see the 5 of hearts. And they've checked again. It's a thing of beauty. King 9 for Mattis, and that is good enough. Good enough.
So Bev asks, should the small stacks make more moves now, do you think? I guess that'll be down to the player. Some players are comfortable playing really short. They're happy to wait for a premium hand. Others, you know, like to move when they've got chips so that a double up can be significant. It'll be down to the individuals, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, a lot of it also comes down to we're at the top end of this tournament, so the guys have locked up now £3,400. This is a £210 buy-in tournament, so you've already locked up 3,400, but the prize money goes 4,000, 6,000, 9,000, 15,000. You're 4 exits away from from 15. We've got an all in the call. It's Ace Jack for Nick, and it is 9-10 of diamonds for Dan. It's a 9-10 that is at risk. Here we go.
It's a 9 or a 10.
And it deuce 10-4.
Wow.
Puts down ahead 9 on the turn, and it's going to be a double up for Dan. The Prince of Wales gets a double up.
The East
Just going
Putney
to count
Pro.
up how much that is. Yeah, going to count up how much that is. It's just shy of 3 million.
Well, there's an example of a relatively short stack deciding the time was right, Bev.
And he got there.
Yeah, and a 9 and a 10,
fine.
a marginal, marginal hand, right?
Yeah, it was blind on blind. So there you go. Yeah, so 2.975 million was the count. So I'd say just shy of 3 million. And very quickly the short stack position moves. Dan gets a double up to 6 million. And 6 million is about 24 bigs. To give you a rough idea where he's at.
Back in good shape, relatively comfortable.
Well, yeah, it's certainly a breather for a little bit. But it's, as Bev says, at some point you've got to make a stand, and you've got to go. Actually, do I want to dwindle down in chips here and leave myself in a situation where I've not actually got much of an option, or do I want to actually take my chance now and go? I want to try and build something. I want to try and win this thing. That's the point. That's the decision to make, isn't it?
That is indeed the objective.
So Dane under the gun raises it up to 700,000, and we fold all the way round. So Dane is going to scoop the blinds and the antes, which, as I say, every time is worth 625,000. You can if you can get those without getting bothered.
So Bev says everyone has to gamble for the win. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of tools available to reduce the amount of gambling. I mean, ultimately, at some point, you're going to have to get lucky, right? That's the nature of the game. But if you can reduce the number of times that you have to get lucky, then statistically, I guess, you're more likely to win.
Interesting move there from Mattis under the gun. We've said he's got nearly half the chips in play and he shoves all in under the gun. Free.
Neil Stewart out there on YouTube. Good double up, Dan. Go through.
So under the gun, Nick is all in. Has a little think for a second, and then those chips go in. Dan folds, James folds, Dane folds. Mattis is now going to have a look. Doesn't like Queen 3. So Nick is, yeah, I mean, he's at a point where he feels now he's got pretty much a shoving hand. Or, sorry, shoving stack, should I say, sorry. So any hand that fits the bill.
Bev wonders who's got the most Hendon Mob winnings. I'm not sure. We could tell you for the players currently at the final. But 3 or 4 tables out, we did have a gentleman who has $1.8 million worth of winnings on the Hendon Mob. MJ Smith, Prince of Wales for the win. So it feels like Dan maybe representing the his local. Maybe he won a competition. Everybody put some money in the kitty, and Dan won the seat. And maybe
what
Leigh,
a competition to be here, Des.
Yeah.
What, really?
Detail. And maybe you know everybody's getting a little cut of the winnings. Who knows? Little sat,
Wow.
eh? Little sat.
Wow. Well, the man is on the big blind this time. James folds under the gun. So Dane is out the way, and there's Mattis. So we're blind on blind again. This looks familiar. And Nick is all in. Dan folds. So under the gun, Dane raises it up to 700,000. Every time Dane seems to bet, Mattis just looks to his right, has a little think, and this time puts all his grey chips in, and effectively is going to put Dane all in. Is Dane going to make the call? So Dane's final time bank goes in the middle. Decision to make. So he raised it up to 700,000. Mattis went all in, and Dane is going to make the call. It's Mattis flips pocket aces very quickly, and it's Ace Jack for Dane. It's the Ace Jack that is at risk here. Here we go then. 9 Jack Queen.
He's
Not a bad
got
looking flop for
outs
Dane.
maybe.
He's got outs there. 4 on the turn. And 9 on the river. It's not going to do.
Unlucky.
And we're going to lose Dane. Dane
Unlucky.
Talon departs in 5th place, picking up £3,400. Very well done to Dane. There's loads of people in the rail following Dane on the stream. So very well done to him. He's going to pick up his money. Well played, Dane. Well done. Well done, buddy. So we've got 4 left. Blinds have gone up to 150,000, 300,000. We have 4 remaining players. And they are James Morris, sat in seat number 1. We've got Mattis Goodzemus in seat number 7. Nick Bower in seat number 8. And Dan Fisher in seat number 9. They are our 4 remaining players now, all locked up £4,000. Third prize money is £6,000, is £9,000 for second place, and £15,000 up top. And we're on the official medal bubble now. Top 3 will pick up APAC medals, and the winner will also pick up the WCOAP 2024 main event bracelet. We'll try and get some rough skip counts in a second. As I say, blinds have just gone up to 150,000, 300,000 with a big blind ante of 300,000. It's folded round to James in the small blind, who makes up the small blind, and Mattis says I'm all in from the big, which puts the decision back on James. And James lets that one go. So roughly, let's have a look. James is playing now. They're in 20s. That's the million. James has only got about 1.6, maybe 1.7 million, something like that. Oh, really? Am I missing that? Oh, there. Yeah. Got about just over 4 million. Dan has got about 5. Nick has got um, 4, 5. Yeah, about 5 as well, I think. So that would leave. Let's have a look. About 38 million chips sat there with Mattis, and yeah, and it would appear Mattis's all-in button is now stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, he's basically on auto shove.
Yeah. So just
Adele
to give you an
says,
idea,
"Go on, Dan."
Blinds are at 153. Yeah, 15300 to say. So the guys have got between sort of 15 and 20 bigs each, and Mattis has the rest of it. And yeah, I have a funny feeling we're going to see.
He's pretty comfortable there at the moment. Of course, as we said, it can change.
Yeah.
Adele there says, "Go on, Dan." All Putney and Fulham are behind you, so good support for Dan out there.
So James folds under the gun. So round we go to Mattis on the button. Folds this time. Blind on blind then. And it's Nick to act first. And Dan is going to get a walk. So all the good luck messages in the chat got Dan a walk. That's the way to do it. Yeah. They're all cheering you on and you get a walk. Yeah. So keep the good luck messages coming and he can keep adding to his stack.
I just got to tell you, though, everybody you've wished good luck to so far has gone out. Ricky had love for him.
Very well. Yeah, we boxed very well.
Joe. Everybody loved Joe. Dane, super popular, gone.
On we go. Mattis under the gun fold, as does Nick. So blind on blind. It's going to be a second walk in a row. James is going to be the lucky recipient this time.
Take that very much.
So Nick folds and Dan on the button is all in. James folds. Decision on Mattis. Yeah, he lets that go. And Dan shows an ace of clubs.
Yeah, so Adib's out there saying, when did Wadey get knocked out? I think he went in seventh, was it, Leigh? Seventh or eighth? Eighth, in fact,
Eight.
Wadey.
I think it was eight. Yeah.
Came in pretty short to the final table. And, went out pretty early, I'm afraid. Shame. Always enjoy watching Wadey play.
Very good player. Seriously good track record at Dusk Till Dawn and further afield. So Dan under the gun here, and he folds. Round we go to James on the button, who's going to raise it up to 800,000. I don't know whether you've noticed Mattis, Des, but he he's very much always constantly looking at his opponent. Asks for how much James is playing just to get an idea, and decides to eventually fold. And Nick does likewise. So James scoops up a few chips there, and on we go.
Leigh, so we started at approximately 7 o'clock. So we're an hour and a half, maybe a little more into this final table, down to 4 now on the medal bubble. I mean, it has ran actually very, very well, hasn't it? It's going nice and swiftly.
The guys have sat on, just over 43 bigs now as an average stack. Of course, the problem is, they're not really sat in a kind of a balanced chip stacks, are they? That's the issue. So 43 bigs at this point, four-handed, would, if they were all on sort of even stacks, you'd go, wow, there's plenty of play in this.
Yeah. The
issue is, what do these shorter stacks do now? Are they all clinging on, trying to just hang on, as well as Mattis is all in? It's folded round at him on the button. Nick gets out of the way. Is Dan going to say, I'm going to take a spin up? No. So they're going to let Mattis win that one. And whilst he's doing that, I mean, I don't think he's doing it. He's not doing it every hand. So obviously, he's got a range where he's prepared to go, I'm prepared to get my chips in the middle. And if somebody wants to call me, then fine. So the other three have got to decide how they want to play that against that. What do you do?
Because the problem is, Leigh, right? The three of them are similarly stacked. So they're in a similar sort of position. But yet the difference between fourth place money and second place money is pretty significant.
It's more than double. It's more than double. So
you don't want to go out fourth, right?
No, so you've locked up £4,000 now, and it's 9,000 for second. And not that the three of them are probably thinking now we're playing for second, because far from it. But you've really got to decide. Do you want to be the one that makes a mistake now and goes out in fourth when there could be another 2,000 or another 5,000 up for grabs, or potentially still the win.
And of course, in this situation, very much favours our chip leader, right? He can
all in the call. And Mattis had shoved with Jack 6 of clubs, and James has called with Ace King. It's the Ace King that's going to be at risk, though. So here we go. And the board is 3-7 Ace. Ace is looking good for James. Hearts and no help for Mattis. 5 on the turn means a 4 would actually do it, and a queen on the river. So it's going to be a double up for James. Ace King is nice good. Hand. Went in ahead and improved on the turn. A little bit of a sweat on the turn, but a double up for James. And
it took a premium hand to get them into, Leigh, right?
Yeah, so we're just going to count up how much that is. So 4,775,000. So plus what was in the middle there now, that's going to put James up around 10 million, which is
changes.
Really, changes the dynamic. Certainly changes the dynamic for him, but it also changes the dynamic for for Nick and for Dan now, because
yeah.
whereas it was the three of them all kind of, swimming in the same sort of waters, now it's kind of just the two of them. And although both of them would massively dent James's stack, because it was basically flipped the situation, because they both got it sort of around the sort of 5 mil mark, and he's got 10, so just going to flip that. They've got to be very careful what they do now. Obviously, a little bit of a dent for Maximus, but what it's also done. Interestingly, that hand, Des, that's the first one that Maximus has had to show down where it's not been premium. So it's now told the table. Okay, sometimes he's open shoving there with Jack 6.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So we'll see how that plays out now. Now that information is out there on the table. So far, he'd only really shown down premium hands.
Yeah, I think it'll be equally interesting to see now what James does, because he's obviously got a little bit of relief there, right? He's perhaps taken himself out of the immediate danger, but does he now use that stack to put pressure on, third and fourth, or does he, sit back and just assess what happens over the next 10 or 15 hands? Be interesting to see.
Well, now here's the interesting spot for James is if he really wanted to, you wouldn't target Dan or Nick. You'd start applying pressure on Mathis, but no one's really done it because actually he's got a stack now where he can basically flip Mattis's stack. And take the chip lead if he could double through it. And so he could turn around and go, well, actually, let's play a bit more of a high variance thing here, and actually, let's go after the chip lead. Let's leave the shorter two stacks in there at the moment. They're doing no harm. And his focus might turn to, okay, let's go after the chip leader.
Yeah, it gets super interesting at this point, and of course, the money is that much bigger now. Just elsewhere, Leigh, just a quick update as we're about to deal a new hand. Other tournaments, the PLO8, 118 started. We're down to 16 now. The Win the Button, 72 started. We are also down to 16. The mixed triple draw low ball, which started at 5 p.m., 77 players into that. We're down to 54, so that will be going for a while tonight. But yes, under two tables or in the two-table range for both of the other tourneys that are going on alongside this one. As we near completion of day 5 of the World Championship of Amateur Poker here at Dustle Dawn.
Under the gun, James raises it up to 800,000 and Mattis to them all in. And James is like, cool.
Here we go.
Mattis shows pocket threes. James has got pocket aces.
Wow.
It's going to be the aces that are at risk, though. So here we go. 8, king, 7. A couple of diamonds out there. 3 of diamonds is on show as well. For Mattis, 5 of clubs, though. Ends Rat's potential story. And deuce on the river. And what a time to James to wake up with aces. And he's going to get a double up again through Mattis. And that is going to take him into the chip lead.
Well, it's insane. I mean, we've been saying how quickly these things can change. He's gone from shorty with sort of 4 to 5 million chips, dealt an ace king, dealt a pair of aces. Both instances they hold up, which in theory they should, but how many times do we not see that happen? And now he's the chip leader. Wow. What a great game. What a great game.
So 10.6 million is the count. So plus what's in the middle is going to be, so it's going to be 21.2, 21.8, 21.9, pretty much 22 million for James now. Which I would say puts him possibly just into the chip lead.
And now we'll have to see how Mattis reacts to that. Does he slow down a bit? Does he continue to put pressure on? Are you liking the play with pocket threes there, Leigh?
Well, it's four-handed. It's a pocket pair.
Yeah.
I mean, it's but at best you're flipping. You'd like to, you'd think, wouldn't you? Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And ultimately, you're hoping to not get the call, right? Take it down pre the call. To find yourself against aces is just bad luck.
well, it's unfortunate timing, but also it's the first time we've seen. Say, Matt has been pretty flawless so far at this final table from what we've seen, it's the first kind of chinks in his armor a little bit as Nick gets it all in and gets that through and shows ace 9 just to keep it honest. He had an ace there, so we're just chipping off some of the of Mattis's stack there because it was quite a lot of chips.
So in the background there, guys, beyond the rail, you can see the upper part of Dustin Dawn card room, or should I say the middle part, perhaps more accurately, and that is the mixed triple draw tournament ongoing. 77 starters, down to 54. There we go, Leigh's cam. You can see more of those. And it has been wall-to-wall poker, Leigh. The card room's been full since Wednesday. I mean, I'm tired just watching it.
Oh, you haven't looked around the corner here because the mini main has started.
Oh,
Day 1D.
It's all APAT, right? It's just incredible.
Yeah. It's absolutely rammed. So there are 99 runners in that mini main Day 1D at the moment.
Yeah. Crikey. And of course, the mini main will play out tomorrow, right? To completion. We'll do this again.
All in and a call on the feature table, and it's ace 6. We're just going to get a counter on this for Dan, and it's going to be a double up for him through Mattis, and that's 3 double ups in a row now that Mattis has had the payout on, unfortunately for him. And for those watching at home with Dan, ace 6 was good. 6 on the board, and
wow.
And Dan has now got breathing space. So Nick is the shorty, and actually Dan's probably got a similar stack to Mattis now. Not a huge amount of difference between the two.
But in 20 minutes there, a huge amount of a change. Steve's out there, Leigh. He says, thank God no laptops running any GTO solvers on the rail. I think the only laptops around here, Steve, they run Windows 95, my friend. There are no solvers on this rail. And MJ Smith says, if Dan gets top 2, I'll buy him a pint next time he's in Putney. That's an offer.
Dan's raised up 700,000 under the gun. Mattis is all in, and Dan says I call.
Wow.
Mattis throws jacks. Dan has got 9s. They're fairly close stack-wise, so we'll work this out in a minute. So it's jacks for Mattis, 9s for Dan. 8, 5, 9 on the flop. Queen on the turn. There are outs there for Mattis. 8 is not one of them though, and we're just going to get a count.
Crikey.
I think Mattis has just about got Dan covered, but some absolute carnage on this final table. I think it's going to leave Mattis with a little bit of a few chips back, but 4 hands, and he's done 32 million of the 52 million in play. I'm quite staggered, really.
Well, I'm just a little worried that Bev's gone quiet. I think she's trying to figure all of this out. What the hell happened to Mattis?
I mean, what I will say is, got a smile on his face. It's just because it's sometimes the way poker can go.
He hasn't done anything wrong, Leigh, right? I think we'd agree. I mean, the threes you can yay or nay, but ultimately it's a fair play. However you want to do it. More often than not, he takes that down before he's called. To find your opponent with aces is unfortunate, but in a super short period of time, he's gone from being a dominant chip leader, playing at the top of his game, to suddenly being presumably the shorty now. Bev says it's like someone getting hit by a car.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. But potentially, I mean, what is fourth place prize money, Lee?
£4,000.
So this, you know, it could potentially cost him £10,000. So yeah, it's it's going to be something he needs to get over quickly because, of course, he's still in.
So
the tournament.
he's all in on the button, and Nick is all in the small blind. Dan's still action on Dan. He gets out of the way. It's King 10 for Mattis. It's Ace Queen for Dan.
He's going to have to hit.
Again, they might well be quite close. We'll work it out in a second because there's different denominations here, so we'll work out where it is. Ace, Jack, 6 on the flop.
A king or a 10.
3 on the turn, 4 on the river, and Nick is going to win that one. Just going to get a count because it's a Mattis has got a stack of the green 100Ks, but Nick has a bunch of the grey 500Ks. So we're just going to get this counted up and see how close this is.
Wow. Nosy P. Wayne Parker says, what a turnaround. Adele says, boom. Bev
and that's it. And we lose Mattis in fourth place. Incredible.
Played very well. It just not to be Lee, but played exceptionally well. And of course, this is a 15, 16, 17 runner event. He's finished fourth, an outstanding result on any day. But I'm sure that won't console him at the moment.
No, very much not. So we're down to 3. We have our 3 medalists for 2024, and they are James Morris in seat number 1.
Well done.
And we have Nick Boyer in seat 8.
Well done, Nick.
And Dan Fisher in seat 9. They are our 3 medalists. What colour medal they're going to get? Well, we've got that to find out. They've now guaranteed themselves £6,000. Second place money is £9,000, and the winner is going to pick home £15,000. So what will happen is once we've got 16 minutes left of this level, just being explained to the players. Once we get to the end of this level, the clock gets halved. So they've been playing 40-minute levels. They will be moving to 20-minute levels at the end of this one once we get 3-handed. That's standard policy with APA and with both us and Dusk Till Dawn. Yeah. So blinds are still 150,000, 300,000 for a little bit longer. And I'll try and roughly work out where we are chip wise. James, do you know how much you got? Just over 20. So James is playing about 21 million. James is playing 21 million. Nick, how much have you got? So Nick's got about 6 million. Yeah, how much do you think you got, Dan? The rest. Yeah, the rest. I reckon I would say Dan has probably got about 25 million.
So roughly 25 and 6. Roughly.
So 21 million for 21 million for James, 6 million for Nick, and 25 million for our current chip leader, Dan.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Lee. Dantastic, says Neil. Indeed. These are the 3 shorties we were talking about 20 minutes ago, Lee. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And Bev asked the question, do the shorties need to start kind of getting busy and just, and going for it?
Well, I'm not sure how you'd summarize what has just happened there, other than, we've just seen some big hands collide, ultimately. And in the case of the shorties, those hands have held up. That's why we love poker. It's not a science. It really isn't.
So Dan and James are going to see a flop here of ace, 9, 3. Check from Dan. James bets out 900,000, which Dan calls. So we will see a turn card, which is the 10 of spades. Goes check, check. So we'll see the king of spades on the river. And Dan fires out maybe 4 mil. A bit more than that. No, 4 million. It is 4 million. Decision back on James. Looks quite pensive there, Des, do you think?
Yes. Now that you have some, you don't want to lose them easily. He's taking some time.
So, yeah, it can be, yeah.
Looks like he wants to reach.
Eventually lets them go.
Yeah, we think better of it. The Dan rail is in some wonderment, Leigh. Phil is still talking about the 9. Where did it come from? Call the sheriff. There's been a robbery. Diana Fisher could well be a relation here of Dan, I have to say. Smash it. Love Sophia, Mum, James, and Sully Bananas. Putney forever. Oh, that's for Dan the Man Fisher. Yeah, we thought it might be Diana. So the Dan rail is it's very warm right now.
So your man is in the small blind this time. So it'll be Nick to act first on the button. And he's all in. Yeah. He's telling me for some reason. I'm like, cheers for letting me know, Nick. Yeah, between us, me and Nick, we got that one through. Yeah, and on we go to the next hand. The Dan rail would like a bit of a wave, Dan. There's a lot of them out there, so yeah, a lot of support for you in the chat online. So yeah, that
is the Putney wave. It's not the Mexican wave, though, Leigh,
I think there's a few pints coming your way by the sounds of it if you win it. Only if you win it, apparently. Apparently third is not good enough, yeah. I don't know whether you all might not have caught that, but I definitely heard Dan said he'll get everybody a pint. That's what I heard. Definitely that. Excellent. Yeah.
I'm so thirsty, Leigh.
Yeah, Dan. Only if you're at the Prince of Wales. Only if you're at the Prince of Wales. So, but you know where we're going. We finish this, Des. We're off to Putney. We're off to the Prince of Wales. That's where we're going.
Let's go.
That's where we're going.
How will we know it's the right Prince of Wales in Putney, Leigh? There's got to be a lot of Prince of Wales pubs in Putney.
There might be one or two. Yeah, I'd imagine there are one or two. That's for sure. We've got it's getting serious stuff. We've got the bling on the table. The official photographer is loitering.
He's very green, Leigh. He's very green.
That's his special. That's his green tint. He won't go anywhere in Dustle Dawn without a green tint. Yeah, it's the Irish in him. Yeah,
he looks like a Hulk doll off of Wish.
Yeah.
Simon Dunn is out there and says, "May the cards be with you, Dan." I can feel a bit of Star Wars in the chat box.
Yeah. To say the least. So James has folded on the button and Nick has made up the small blind. And Dan says in the big blind, let's see a flop. So that's what we're going to do. And it's Jack King 9 with a couple of spades on the board. And Nick pops out a little 3,000 bet. The minimum he can put out there, but it is enough to take down that pot.
Yeah.
it's very difficult for them to angle on that because so I feel sorry for James a little bit because he's been down that end of the table on his own for quite a while. You know, and every time taking shots and there's more than that end, he kind of gets
Yeah.
out of the shot. But he is
Oh,
still
I
there,
can put him
very
in the
much
shot.
so.
There you go.
Yeah,
Look at
yeah,
that.
yeah. There you
You
go.
just
Very
relax.
much still
You relax your arm there, Leigh.
very much in the midst.
I get a feeling that Dan just walked out yesterday and didn't tell anybody he was coming to Nottingham to play poker. And somebody in a WhatsApp group earlier on today said, "Did you know Dan is playing for like £15,000?" They all went, "What? Dan's playing for 50? I thought he was around at like John's house." It feels a bit like that. They're all trying to get in now.
Yeah.
Get a little
So
piece.
Dan and James have seen the flop here, King Jack 9, and a little bet from Dan's been called by James, so they see the ace on the turn.
Well, this is looking a bit
Dan
serious.
fires out another 800,000. Stop James fairly quickly reaching for chips to call. He does, so we're going to see the river card here, which is the 4 of diamonds. Beautifully lined up. There we go. Check this time from Dan. James makes the checks as well. Queen Deuce for James, and it's King 10 for Dan. King 10 is good enough, and he will scoop that one up. So for those of you just tuning in, we are at the World Championship Amateur Poker in Dusseldorf in Nottingham. This is APAT WCOAP 2024. This is the main event. We had 518 runners start this event off, playing over 4 day ones. We are down to the final 3. They've all locked up a minimum cash of £6,000. But there is some serious pay jumps between third place and first. Second place will pick up £9,000, and the winner is going to pick up £15,000. They're all guaranteed an APAT medal now. Depends what colour it's going to be, and of course the winner will also take home the WCOAP 2024 main event bracelet. That looks a little bit like that.
Very nice. Very nice. And I assume, Leigh, we're going to make them do model shots like Chris Ralston, who won this title last year.
Oh yeah, there is condition that you will be you will be on all promotional material for the next 12 months. Yeah, absolutely. So here comes another flop, and it's Dan and James again. Jack 6-3. James checks, and Dan fires out a min click of 300,000. And James makes the call.
Oh, it's a bit splashy. He's not happy.
King of clubs on the turn. Check from James. And Dan makes it 900,000 this time. Very quick fold from James, out of the way, and Dan picks up another little pot.
I think it's fair to say Dan has found his feet here, Leigh.
Yeah, I would say so.
He's found the pace of the game.
Finding his time, and then run into some hands that have got him paid off, and he's now making the most of them. So nothing wrong with that. That's the way the game can go, can't it? You can sit there absolutely card dead or nothing going your way, and all of a sudden you can just go on a heater and win a few hands. I mean, and say you just, Mattis, who can just went the other way for him, just absolutely controlling this final table, and then just doubled up 4 players in a row. Blind on blind, Nick and Dan, and we're going to see a flop, which is Deuce 4-10. Check from Nick. Dan fires out 300,000. That's enough to take that one down. What I would say, Des, whether you've noticed this since we've gone 3-handed here, the pot sizing has been massively controlled here.
Yeah.
They're
just
playing a
under
lot
3,
smaller
right?
pots. Yeah,
2.5,
a lot smaller
3.
pots, just a little. Nothing crazy going on here. Yeah. Obviously, you can understand Mattis as the chip leader he was, and that could force it free. These guys seem to be quite happy to to control the pot, play it play it sensibly. Let's see a flop. Let's see a turn. Let's see a river. We're actually getting out of hand, and it seems to be working. Little raise from Dan this time, up to 700,000 out of the small blind, and going to get that one through. And I just feels like that Dan's won like the last 4 hands, maybe 4 or 5.
Oh yeah,
I don't remember anybody else adding to his stack. He's building the Great Wall of Nottingham there. I wonder whether he could sell that wall to the US to go along the Mexican border. They might be able to do that. It's a possibility.
I tell you,
get Trump on the phone, Des. Get Trump on the phone. It might be doable.
It's going to be a great wall, Leigh. It's going to be a great wall. Adele says pints all month in the POW. I think we all know what the POW means. MJ comes back with the Prince of Putney is living up to his name. It's the Prince of Putney now. There's a new name every other chat. The man's got more brands than Harrods. Frank comes in. Where's the chip leader? Guess them threes cost him. They did indeed, Frank. He is no longer here. Played extremely well. Made a move with threes. Put pressure on his opponent. Going to that flop for you there, Leigh.
It's a very exciting time because it's a proper family pot going on here. 5 Jack King, all 3 are in the hand. It's checked round to Dan, who's made it 400,000 on the button, and the other 2 fold.
Nice. But Frank. So Matthias's threes found themselves against James's aces.
Yeah, I mean he had it was the 4 hands in a row, which were just
yes.
Just very important. I mean, actually, to be fair, he got looked up first time with the Jack 6, where he shoved free and got called by James. That was the first doubler, which to be honest was a little bit. Yeah, he's got fingers caught in the cookie jar there a little bit, didn't he? Really with that one, but then the ones after that, didn't really do a huge amount wrong. Oh, there's nothing wrong with the shove with the Jack 6. It's just you got looked up by the hand. That's that can happen. Oh, all in the call. Well, I'll be honest. I thought I heard that. I looked in. I saw Dan flip 7 deuce. And I thought, no, he couldn't have said that. But Lucas, who's running our TD, you thought you heard the same that I heard. Yeah. We both went flying to the table, going, "There's all in the call." And then Dan flipped over 7 deuce, and we went, "No,
You're just trying to get Dan in trouble, aren't you?" Yeah.
The Prince of Putney is not playing 7 deuce. 3-handed on a final table. Yeah, not like the rest of them, he says. Okay, yes. Yes, if you're in the chat and you're from Putney and you play 7 deuce, let us know. Tosh, is it Tosh? Jeff does it as well, yeah. Yeah. So Jeff and Tosh apparently, Des, they're the 7-2 players in Putney. So yeah, you've been outed. Dell as well. Yeah, they're all getting outed here at this final table. They're all in trouble.
It's a bloodletting, Leigh.
I'll tell you what, Des, I fancy like this. This game of Putney sounds good. I think we need to go there.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from that one, Leigh, if you don't mind. You sound a rough crowd down there.
What? Tosh, Jeff, and Dell sound a rough crowd. Wow. Okay, fair enough.
Dell, this time next year, Leigh, right?
I'm not commenting. No. Yeah.
Tom says, "Never mind Dan the man. We want Nick the
So, Des, this is the last hand, and the guys going to be on a break. I think they're going to take. Are they taking all 15 minutes? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, they've got a 15-minute break. They might not take all 15 if they're back, but we'll see whether they want to. They're very welcome to it if they want to, because they have been sat here playing for a couple of hours now. So, okay, so the players are going to be on a break, Des, and we will do likewise, and we'll keep the stream running, yeah?
Yeah, we'll keep the stream running, everyone. We've put a 15-minute clock up there, so by all means, go and grab a cup of tea. This one is not done yet, and we'll see you back in around 15 minutes. I would maybe come back a little bit earlier in case the players do. There you go. Thanks for sticking with us. We'll speak to you shortly.
You flip to one of you. Yeah, thank you.
Here we are at the break of the Pot Limit Omaha tournament, and I'm signing T-shirts for Poker News.
Okay, hello everybody, and welcome back. It looks like the players are back. We're ready to deal the first hand after the break. Here we go. It's game on again.
So blinds are now 200,000, 400,000. So from the button, James raises it up to 1.1 million. It's Nick in the small blind and Dan in the big blind. Nick says I'm all in. Dan's asking how much, so we're just going to get a count on it. And I think Dan's seen enough to say he's going to fold, but we'll just get the count complete now because it's been asked for. $7,650,000 is the count. So decision on James. He's going to fold. So that will now put Nick up close to 9 million, I would suggest now.
Better position. This thing is evening up. Leigh, obviously, a little way to go yet, but
yeah. So there's 52. Let's call it 52 million in play. So we now know that that Nick has got about 9 million of those, which leaves the other 43 million split between the other two players. And I would suggest it's probably about 23 million to Dan, 20 million to James, maybe 24-19, something like that. At the moment, raised from Dan to 1.2 million out of the small blind, and James let the big blind go, so Dan adds to that.
Leigh Des is out there on YouTube, who has checked in with us a couple of times over the week, and he just wants a little update on the other tournaments playing. So I'll do this very, very quickly. So the shootout has completed. The PLO8, we have 16 of 118 left. So that's still ongoing. The Win the Button has 13 of 72 left. The mixed triple draw low ball, which is going on sort of behind us here, has 44 of 77 left. And day 1D of the mini main has 94 of 112 left. So it might be a Sunday evening, but there are a lot of poker players here at DTD still targeting WCOAP bracelets, none less than the three gentlemen we can see at our final table of the main event.
Yeah, just doing a little bit more of a chip count there, Des. I reckon. Yeah. So I reckon Nick is playing 9 million. I think Dan is playing 25 million, which would leave James with about 18 million.
Yeah. So that would make sense. Dan has been the busiest of the three, or the most successful of the three, I would say, over the last 30-odd minutes.
And to be fair, Dan might be playing a little bit more than that actually now. But it's definitely Dan who's the one who is chipping up.
Yeah.
So,
Phil updates us, Lee, unless you've got a hand here, in which case we'll. Yeah,
we've got a flop.
Let's look at this flop, shall we?
Nick and Dan are going to see rather beautiful King, Jack, Ace, and a bet from Nick gets Dan to quickly fold, and on we'll go.
Great. Yeah, so Phil was just saying, just to let you know, fellas, the Prince of Wales Wednesday Poker Guru, and every Prince of Wales and every pub poker venue needs one. The main man, Neil, who runs the now fabled games, in the building. So if Neil is here supporting Dan the man, he should come and say hello. In fact, we might even get him on the stream. So, if he's in the building, send him up here, Phil. We'd love to talk to him about Dan. And indeed, MJ has gone on to say that I think we need to get Neil in for an interview. Very happy to talk to Neil. Just tell him to bring the pints with him.
I've got a funny feeling he might. I'm wondering whether he's next to you.
Are you Neil? Come on over here, Neil. Oh, Neil's just arrived, pint in hand, as you'd expect.
I was looking at a guy on the rail who's listening to the stream. He was
sort of looking at me. He was looking at me,
and I thought he's gonna get about 30 seconds in and hear this, and we'll be good.
I tell you, look, Neil's popped in. He's got a pint. We've allowed him into the very secure area with all of the technology to tell us a little bit about Dan. Oh, hello.
Oh, I'm just going to say, I did have a hand there because Nick was all in, but he's got that one through, so you carry on.
Can you believe that I, as a man, I'm having to push all of these buttons at the same time as having a discussion? It's pretty unbelievable. So how long has the fabled Prince of Wales game been going for, Neil?
Oh, it's been running for about 10 years on and off. So
wow.
Yeah, we've changed venues a few times, but 10 years, yeah.
Always the Prince of Wales?
No, we moved. We've been all over the place. Cat's Back was before the Prince of Wales, but Prince of Wales for about 2.5, 3 years now.
Yeah, and obviously Dan is wearing the cap, doing very well, you have to say. Did he win a poker tournament in the pub? Is that why he's here?
No. If you win a season, so we run a 12-week season. If you're season champion, you get a cap. So he won season 9. And he said he was going to wear his cap here and he's going to do well, and he's just done that for us, you know.
There you go, Lee. We thought the man won an entry to the WCOAP, but actually he won a cap. I think he's flying the flag very well for the Prince of Wales on the back of the cap. What do you think?
He's doing us proud, that's for sure, yeah.
He's definitely doing you proud. Do you have a lot of players in the game, Neil?
It's about, we have 3 tables, 27 players a week.
Fantastic. Well, you just grassroots poker, and it's you guys out in the pubs. Oh, we've got a camera and all. Fantastic, but it's you guys out in the pubs who are, bringing new players into the game, doing the tough yards.
I play the team event here in February, and yeah, it's a fantastic place. APAT do a fantastic job. It's a really great tournament. Thank you, very, very kind.
Been running for 18 years. 18 years, and it feels like yesterday, but. Somebody asked us earlier in the week, it seems to be going very well. How do you, what do you think? How do you judge it? And as long as players are not coming up to us complaining about stuff, we think it's generally been a good one.
It's a brilliant, the structures are brilliant, the variety of games is fantastic, the venue is fantastic. Yeah, I love coming here.
Thank you very much. So there you go, guys. That is Neil from the Prince of Wales. He runs the game. If you fancy having a play and you're based down near Putney, East Putney in particular, West Putneyans, don't come. Right, we don't want to hear from you guys. But if you're from East Putney, get down to the Prince of Wales. It's a Wednesday night game.
Wednesday night, yeah, 7:30.
Do you have to bring a couple of quid, or what's the deal?
It's the usual £5 buy-in for a pub game.
£5, just to get in. Just give that money to John on the door, the bouncer, the big fella. He'll be able to see him. Meanwhile, anything happened back there on the table, Lee?
No, we're okay. We've kept an eye. We had a little cheeky flop there, but it was nicely won by Dan, and we're on. So Yeah, still going strong. Dan is still chipping up, but and he raises up to 1.2 million off the button. James folds out of the small blind, and decision on Nick in the big blind. And he pops the time bank in the middle, just to give himself another 30 seconds.
Leigh, I'm collecting all of those time banks. We're selling them in the car park. They must be the nicest chip that has been brought to market in recent years.
And after a little think, he lets it go. And our chip leader adds
accumulate.
A few more, adds a few more to his stack.
The way he stacked them there is quite intimidating. It's like a little wall.
Yeah, as I said, it's I'm more of a pyramid guy to me, see. But yeah, each to their own.
Each to their own, absolutely. We're not anti-wallists here.
Definitely not. So on we go, and it's if you didn't all get that, that's Aaron shouting out to the triple low ball that they're on a break. Yeah, so. And James raises it up to 1.2 million on the button, so blinds to act. Nick's in the small blind, Dan's in the big blind.
There's a guy in the mixed triple draw, Lee. He's a few tables away from me, but every now and again...
And Nick is all in.
Oh, hello. Let's have a bit of that.
So Nick's all in. Decision back on James. And he's going to let them go.
Not this time. Yeah, but there's a guy in the in that particular tournament. Every time he wins a hand, or I assume he wins a hand, he literally jumps up on his feet and shouts out something generally random.
What, like sort of Akuna Matata or something like that? Yeah.
Oh, it's worse.
Okay.
It's worse. I think it's passion-based.
Really? Oh, wow. So Nick folds on the button, so Dan's small blind. And just going to make that up. So option on James. He's going to check that option, so we'll see another little flop. Which is Jack 5 Queen. All clubs. Check from Dan, check from James. 8 of clubs. Clubs keep coming. And Dan bets out $500,000, and you can only presume if James was holding a club, it was a very low one, and so it folds pretty quickly, and on we go.
So again, just to confirm payouts, guys, 15,000 up top for the winner of this tournament, 9,000 for second, 6,000 for third. Mattis, of course, who we saw finish fourth, walked away with £4,000. Great return on a two-day £210 buy-in tournament.
Wonderful, quick change of dealer. So thank you very much, and in comes our new dealer. Right, so it's James on the button this time. Nick in the small blind and Dan in the big. And the 5 minutes left of this level, and the blinds will then be going up again. Clock now reduced to 20 minutes for three-handed. So decision on James on the button, who's reaching for what looks like raisin chips. Makes it 1.2 million. Nick folds out a small blind, and Dan says I'm all in from the big blind, and James says I call.
Here we
So
go.
Dan has got ace, queen of hearts, and James has got 2 black queens. Here we go then. It's the queens that are at risk.
Dan needs an ace.
And no ace there, but there is a 4 of hearts. 4 of clubs is no good on the turn for him, and 8 of diamonds isn't, and it's going to be a double up for James. Going to get that counted up.
Nice hand, James. Well timed.
10,100,000 is the count.
As that piece of work has been done, Danielle says, if he's shouting, I live by the river, we know who he is. It could well be something like that. I thought he had Tourette's for a while, but...
So James's 10,100,000 doubled up plus what he had in the blind is going to put him now up about sort of 20, 21 mil. Backwise, I would suggest that Dan probably has about the same 21 mil, which would mean that Nick's got maybe about 10 mil. Maybe a little bit, about that. So that's where we roughly are. Nick's got about 10, and the other two have about 21 each.
That's fair enough. I'm beginning to suspect there might be a bit of play in this, Leigh. Mind you, in saying that, all of the lads have been willing to get their chips in. So let's see what the card gods bring.
Do you want me to move that chair out of the way, Nick? I'm not quite sure why it's even still there, to be honest. Yeah. In case you want to start properly limbering up, yeah? So James folds to the button, and Nick makes up the small blind. Option on Dan in the big. He decides to see a flop, and that flop is a delightful 10-10 jack. Check from Nick. Dan bets at 400,000. And Nick folds.
At some point I was excited. I got 52 million in play, and it was four-handed. One guy had around 40.
Leigh, we were talking to one of the young ladies who works behind the bar here last night, and she said to us in passing, I saw that the tournament was starting early. You're bringing a lot of players back. I hadn't been rotated to come in, but I'm coming in a couple of hours early just to make sure everything's well staffed up. I mean, it's outstanding stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Guys at Dusty Dawn have been brilliant here all weekend. On a board of Ace Queen 10, Dan bets that 400,000 and wins that. Yeah, can't fault any of the
above and beyond.
As always, been incredible. As always is the way when we come to visit.
Yeah, that's how it goes, but like it's super brutal. Wow. Like, look how he lost jacks against 99 November, but the classic.
So when we go Dan on the button this time, he folds James in the small blind. He makes it 1.3 million. And Nick is going to fold 7 deuce. Taking tips from Dan. Yeah, not playing that. But again, if you do want to play against players that play 7 deuce, apparently the Prince of Wales at East Putney is the place to go.
That's the place. That is the place.
Yeah. Tosh, Dell, and I can't remember who else. Jeff, was it? Was it Jeff? Yeah, all of them. All of them, Dan says.
Rodney,
all of them. Yeah, all of them. So next hand, and James is on the button. He folds. Nick goes all in from the small blind, gets that through. Dan very quickly folds. Oh, you didn't shove. Oh, you just raised. Oh, he did a cheeky, supple raise that time. Sorry, I apologise, Nick. It was a real proper one. You wanted action that time, didn't you? Really? Yeah.
Decent hand that time, Leigh.
Yeah.
He's just giving away information, valuable information.
Yeah. I think it's like another level bluff. He says he didn't, but really what didn't. Yes, he did once, so he wasn't sure. And he raises to 1.2 from the button this time, Nick. And Dan folds in the small blind. And looks like James is counting out 1.2 million here. So James and Nick are going to see a flop here. And it's 4 deuce king. Check from James. Nick bets 1.2. And James makes the call. So we'll see a turn. Which is 7 of spades. Check from James. Yeah, it goes check from Nick as well. So the 5 of hearts appears in the river. Check from James, check from Nick, showdown. It's ace 4 for James, and that is good enough to take that down. So Dan on the button this time, on the button under the gun when you're 3-handed, and he folds. And Nick's going to walk and shows King, Queen of clubs, which 3-handed is a beautiful hand.
We'd have got involved.
Beautiful
with that,
hand. Yeah, you want to be betting down the streets with that, don't you? Absolutely.
When you're 3-handed, Leigh, when you're 3-handed, I mean, what is your range? I mean, are you playing Queen X, King X? I mean, what do you... Let's assume you're, at level stacks with your 2 opponents. I mean, how loose does one need to be?
Yeah, to be honest, you want to, you ideally you want to any sort of, kind of suited connector, and really nice to be able to want to see a flop and see what you can get going. Really, you don't want to be in a situation where it's all going in pre, ideally, but more often than not, 3-handed, that's what it ends up being. It means a kind of 2 hands colliding. If we're seeing a flop here of Jack, Ace, Deuce, checked by Dan, and it's got James reaching for some chips, and
a little pop of that
makes it 1.4 million.
The wall of Dan isn't a believer.
Dan is going to make the call, so we're going to see the Queen of clubs on the turn. Check from Dan, check from James. So here comes the river card. It is a Jack of hearts. Check again from Dan. And same from James. James shows pocket 5s. And Dan's got ace 7 of hearts. And the ace 7 of hearts is going to be good. And those chips are going to the Prince of Wales. So blinds are now 250,000, 500,000. Or the big blind ante of 500k. 2 of those grey chips every time you're in the big blind.
Yeah. Steve says DTD must ban people that tell you bad beat stories even when you didn't ask for them. I don't think anybody has ever asked for a bad beat story, Steve. Can DTD have a little quiet zone where you can't tell bad beats? I really like that. I think we have special dispensation, Leigh. We just don't listen to bad beat stories any longer.
Yeah.
We
So
stopped that back in the 90s.
So out of the small blind, Dan's raised it up to 1.45 million.
Yeah.
And it's James in the big that's made the call, I think. Yeah, he has. Yeah. So same 2 players going to see a flop again. And it's 10 of hearts, 6 of diamonds. Sorry, king of diamonds, 6 of spades. Getting ahead of myself there. Million is the bet from Dan. And James folds. So Dan chipping away again, Des. I guess is the best way to describe this.
Yeah. I mean, are you comfortable at this point allowing Dan to do that, or do we start to push back soon?
Well, there hasn't been any signs of them doing that so far without actual premium. So
Yeah.
you know,
So we need to have
Dan's going to carry on doing it. He raises it up to 1. So Dan raises up to 1.1 million on the button. James folds in the small blind. And Nick says, I'm all in. It definitely was all in this time. So the all-in triangle is there. And Dan let that one go. So I think that answers your question, Des, that you raised.
Nicely timed.
Nicely timed there from Nick.
But it's of course it's a very profitable move for Dan over time. I guess until it isn't.
Can't argue with that. So on we go. It's James on the button this time, the under the gun button. And he lets that one go. So we're blind on blind, Nick and Dan. And Dan's going to get a walk.
So big blind, 500k, 250, 500 with a 500 ante. You're sat there with 10 million, Leigh. Do you have much room to play, or do you have to consider committing your stack with every decision?
Oh, Nick is all in on the button.
I think you've answered that one there.
Dan has folded up a small blind, and James has asked for a count.
Ooh, ouch. Okay, let's get this.
It's exactly 8 million is the count. And he's called. So Nick has got ace. Nick has got ace king, and it's ace jack for James. Wow. It's the ace king that's at risk. And the board comes queen, 5, deuce. Another queen. It's a heart, but it's the king of hearts for Nick, and it's going to be a double up for Nick.
Wow. This game constantly gives.
Yeah.
That ace jack must have looked, really good to James there.
But that's where really three-handed, those kind of hands, free, just kind of, can collide. So again, that gives you a rough idea of Nick's stack. He's going to be up around kind of 17 million mark now.
Yeah.
Average stack is 17 million, so he's got average stack.
Yeah, back in reasonable shape again.
James has now got about 10 million, maybe a little bit less.
Kyle says, well picked spot, mate. Good play. Indeed it was. Albeit those hands largely played themselves. But he has been sort of patient. He hasn't panicked. He's been under pressure for a little while, stayed in there, and now he's back at average. Really is anybody's tournament. James perhaps a little shorter now.
So Nick holds the button, and it's a raise to 1.2 million from Dan at small blind, and James folds the big, and Dan shows a couple of red aces.
Wow.
Yeah, it says I said I had that every time. It's always those. It's always those. So on we go. It's Dan on the button this time. James in the small blind. Nick in the big blind. So Dan to act first. He folds. James at the small blind. Says I'm all in. Decision on Nick. And Nick's going to let that go.
And they go.
So I've got about another 8 minutes left at this level before blinds will be up again. And so it's James on the button this time, Nick in the small blind, Dan in the big. And James is all in from the button. Nick folds in the small, Dan folds in the big.
Apparently there's another senior executive from the Prince of Wales, if you can imagine that, Lee, Mr. Mark Booyah. I'm not sure if Mr. Booyah has made it to DTD this week, but you can never have enough senior executives on the team. I'm sure you'll agree.
Absolutely. Des, if you can do me a favour after this hand and do me a camera swap with one of the static ones, or if you've got another one there, whichever's easiest. Meanwhile, Nick raises it up to 1.35 million from the button. And Dan gets out of the way of the small blind. James is going to make a call. So 2 players to the flop. It's going to be James and Nick. And it is 4 King Jack. Check from James. And it's 1.3 million is the bet, and it's a fold. If you can just switch cameras out for me, lovely. Okay.
I don't think they could have done a pit stop that smooth, even at Red Bull, Lee.
Well, we're going to see a flop here, Des, and it's 6-8-8. ace, a couple of clubs on there, and it is Nick and James in the hand. They both check that down, so we're going to see a jack of spades on the turn. And that sees James bet out 1.2 million. And Nick folds. So James on the button this time. Nick in the small blind, Dan in the big. Blind still 250,000, 500,000 just for another 5 minutes or so. And James makes it 1.3 million. Nick folds and Dan calls, so it's going to be Dan and James to see this flop, Des. And it's Jack, Queen, 8. Couple of diamonds on the board. Check from Dan, check from James. And we'll see the deuce of spades on the turn. Million is the bet from Dan. Called by James. So 3 of diamonds is the river card. $1.8 million is the bet from Dan. James has a little think and decides to let it go. So Dan scoops up a few more chips in that hand. So Nick's button this time, which he folds, and James is going to get a walk.
Happy days, we'll take that. We will take a walk. James on the button this time, and he folds. And Dan's going to walk this time. Our official photographer's still here. He's just waiting. He's waiting to present the medalists with their beautiful medals and get photos. He's
stood here. Honestly, we pay a lot of money for him to be here.
Are we paying for this?
We pay a lot of money for him to be there.
Let's. There we go.
A lot is a lot of money. Yeah, yeah.
He's washed all that green off of him, Lee. He looks better for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd very much like to say Tom has done an amazing job with this schedule. I mean, it is Tom's the one that puts it all together and makes it all work. And his knowledge of when a tournament's going to run until and how many runners they're going to be and what's going to go on is pretty much spot on, which allows for us to basically cram as much as we can into the 6 days. Couldn't do it without him. He's an absolute star at this kind of thing. Knows exactly what he's doing. Blinds have gone up to 300, 600,000. We get to come along and just play about with some cameras and do some live streams and stuff. But the hard work goes into getting it agreed and getting the venue to then deliver on it. And he does all that for us. James is all in there and gets that one through.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. So tomorrow, talking about the great structure, Lee, there's a ton of stuff on tomorrow. So Bank Holiday Monday, of course, and who isn't looking forward to that? But if you have some time in your hands, you want to come and play some poker, then there is an outstanding schedule to be had here at Dusk Till Dawn on the last day of the APAC World Championship of Amateur Poker. It's event number 19, the Mix Max. That will kick off at 1 p.m. We've got the Limit Mixed game, 2 p.m. We've got the PLO 456 at 4 p.m. We've got the tag team at 5 p.m. We've got the mini main, right? The day 2 of the mini main. It just does not stop. So plenty there for all of your tastes if you have some time in your hands tomorrow.
Oh, Nick on the button this time, and having a little think about it this time, James. I think he might be. Yeah, makes it 2 million. Dan folds out of the small blind, and yeah, I don't think James liked those two cards very much, and he folds. Yeah. So James is all in from the small blind. Dan had folded in the big, and Nick's asked for a count. So 5.975 million is the count, and Nick has a little think and then decides, no, not for me. So again, that gives you an idea of where James is stack-wise. That'll be about 7 million, which is about 12 bigs. Does.
Yeah.
So James all in again from the button this time, and the other two get out of the way quite quickly, and he scoops up a few more chips. Again, at the moment, the blinds, if you're on the button with the blinds and antes in, it's 1.5 million does in the middle.
It adds up very, very quickly. Pressure is biting now. Just elsewhere, Lee, the PL08, again, we started with 118. We have 11 left. Very briefly, they are Nathan Bars, Ben Burnhill, Arlindo Cardosa, Andrew Housley, Kai Hutchinson still in, Steve Jelenik, who we said won a bracelet earlier on this week, Suraj Maya, Rich Offlis still there, Gareth Stanton, Peter Thorpe, Michael Tolevery. So those are your 11 runners and riders in the PLO8. Win the button, we're down to 13 now. Michael Altena, Mitch Burton, Jordan Kaplan, Chris Gilbert, Valerie Gray still there, Alan Haycock, Andreas Kappart, Pinlu, Ben Shannon, Eddie Shaw, Ashley Spencer, Scotty Wayne, and Richard Wilcox. So those are the 13 in contention for that bracelet. And there are still 67 remaining in Day 1D of the mini-main, and there's 34 of 77 remaining in the mixed triple draw low ball. Lots still happening. So DD says, seems a very tight table. Well, it's tightened up a bit now, but it wasn't tight for the first few hours, Lee.
No, there's a lot of poker being played. Obviously, we're now at a point where the money jumps now are huge. So, you've locked up £6,000, but you've got 3,000 to play for third to second, and then another 6,000 on top of that again from second to first. So it's really, but for an APAT event, as I say, this is one of our bigger payouts of the year. It's a massive pay jump. They've still got, if you think the top three are going to share about a third of the prize pool, £30,000 still to play for between the three of them.
Which is a chunk of money for anyone's bankroll.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you can do a lot with 15 grand.
And Kerry is out there. Go, Ben Burnhill. Main event.
Oh,
Speak to the lads over there. Huh? Speak to the lads on
and
tournament test.
makes up the small blind, and him and James check down the board of Deuce Jack 3, and so we see a 9 on the turn, and Dan bets out $1 million, and James lets it go. Quick change of dealer, and off we go again. What I would say, Des, is the this big video screen at Dusk Till Dawn is lovely, but it does not get warm.
Oh, that is actually quite funny. That is quite
So
funny.
James is all in after a raise from Dan from the button, and that's going to be enough for James. Gets that through. Yeah. I don't think you've ever seen the APAT logo quite up as close as this, but yeah, it's quite nuts.
For anybody who wants to see this at a slightly different angle. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit warm, is it, Lee? Don't stand so close to it.
No, I'm trying to keep away from the table to let the guys see what's going on, but being this side so I can get in on the flop.
So we've been underway for just over 3 hours.
It's actually flown by. I just think we're down to 3 already. Started this with 9. Absolutely flown by.
And obviously we had a short 15-minute break. We were down to 3 prior to that. So it's certainly tightened up, I think, in the last 20, 30 minutes for sure. Understandably
This
so.
does feel like we are waiting for hands to collide here. It really does.
Yeah. But each of these players has shown an absolute willingness to get the chips in, and to, proactively make the action. So you're probably right, Leigh. It's just going to take a couple of half-decent holdings. Now, the chances are, Leigh, that down at the Prince of Wales, over a 3-hour period, you've probably played 2 tournaments out. So this is probably really testing resolve back at home. Of course, I might be wrong about that.
Dan folds on the button. Let's see what James does out of the small blind. And he goes to count out some raising chips, and then I think decides, actually, I might just well be all in. So does exactly that. And Nick folds out the big blind. It does kind of feel that at some point or another, somebody's going to get caught out here. So James folds out of the the button, and it's a raise to 2 million out of the small blind by Nick. It's been called by Dan, so 4.5 million in the middle here. We're going to see a flop, which is 5-4 ace. And Dan drops another load of grey chips across the line, and it's 4 million. And Dan very quickly folds. So Nick holds, Dan folds, which means James gets a walk. It's 51.8 million. Yeah. Everyone start with 100,000. So. Yeah.
Phil reckons the heat coming out of that large digital screen, Leigh, is nothing compared to the Prince of Wales top room on a warm August Wednesday evening. And I think we all know what that could be like. Kyle says, the mackerel is strong, Nick. Keep at it, bud. There you go.
So James on the button this time, and he folds. And so Nick makes up the small blind, and Dan says, I'm going to raise out of the big, so it makes it 2.1 million. And Nick folds, showing a king. Shows the king of clubs. Obviously, we can only assume that the other card wasn't great. So on we go. It's Nick on the button this time. Dan in the small blind, James in the big. Nick folds us from the button. And what's Dan going to do from the small blind? Makes up the small blind. Option on James, who will see a flop. And it is all diamonds, 4, 8, 8. Nick bets 600,000 and James folds. I'd say James is probably playing maybe 7 million, something like that. Nick is going to be up nearer 13, 14, which leaves Dan quite happily with the rest at the moment. I think Dan's about heading up to 30 million, I think. Which would stack up about right from the 52 million in play.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. And we've got 3 more minutes left of this level, and the blinds are going to go up again, and they're going to go up to 400,000, 800,000. So James folds out of the button, and Nick raises the small blind to 1.5 million, which gets called by Dan. So we're going to see a flop, which is 9, deuce, 8. Check from Nick. And Dan bets 2 million. Which is called by Nick. So we're going to see a turn card here, which is the 10 of clubs. So the board is now 9, deuce, 8, 10 with a couple of clubs. Goes check, check. So the river is the jack of spades. Check from Nick. I think Dan is counting out some chips here, Dan. Makes it 5.5 million. Decision for Nick. Throws another time bank in, so it gives himself another 30 seconds to think about this. The board is 9, deuce, 8, 10, jack. The bet from Dan is 5.5 million.
Checks his cards again. He wants to do it, but I'm not sure he's going to find the right button.
He's asking Dan if he'll shove and fold. He's popped another time bank in.
He
Dan
really does want to do
just staring ahead.
Looks deeply troubled.
And he lets it go.
Got a real sense he wanted to call there, Leigh.
Yeah. Said I was trapping on the flop, he said, and I just got worse. And
Yeah.
I feel like he should have just jammed on him, but he didn't. And has ended up playing it safe.
Leigh, maybe it's me. Have we seen a re-raise on this final table?
Yeah, we've seen a fair bit of
Have we?
of action. Yeah. So Nick's on the button now, and what we've now got is Nick's just counting how much he's got, which is probably about 10 mil, I think, and he's all in from the button, and it's a fold from Dan, and the small blind decision on James in the big. And those chips are going in, so we've got an all-in and a call.
Wow.
It's King 7 for Nick. It's pocket 7s for James. It's going to be it's reasonably close. I think the pocket 7s is at risk, though. So here we go. King 5-4, Ace on the turn, and Queen. And we're just going to get a count up to see where it is. I think Nick might just have James covered. We could. We're just going to count this up. So it's 8,875,000 for James, and it's 8.675 million for Nick. And James Morris is going to depart in third place. Superb performance from him. He's going to pick up £6,000 and AFAP bronze medal, which Tom will arrange.
Wow. Great play,
Tom,
James.
I'll get that sorted. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So here we go. We're heads up. Nick versus Dan.
Well done to both of them. There's no mean achievement.
Yeah, no antes now, guys. Yet, no antes yet. So here we go, then, Des. This is it. Heads up.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.
So 9,000 locked up by both of these players now, with another 6 potentially to be won.
Just give me that. Give me that. Give me that. Just give me that. You've got that. Cool. No, that's fine. You've got that on that. No, it's gone check, check. And we're going to see 3 of hearts on the river. So it's ace 5, 4, ace 3. And Nick will take that one down. So blinds now 400,000, 800,000. And Nick raises it up to 2 million, which is being called by Dan. The flop is 8, Jack 8. Dan bets out 2 million. And Nick makes the call. Seven of diamonds on the turn. And Nick bets 3.5 million. And Dan says I'm all in.
Whoa, at the same time he's pushing his cards. This is an interesting move.
Yeah, and Nick folds.
Wow. There was good eye contact. He looked strong.
I'd say Nick's got about 12 million maybe now, I think, something like that.
So Dan
maybe a little bit,
on about
tiny bit less. Actually, maybe a bit more than 12 with what he's got in, maybe 13 mil, yeah. So yeah, that puts Dan up about sort of 38, 39, something like that. So Dan makes up the small blind. Nick says them all in, Dan folds.
I see one Chris Ralston just passing by the staging area, Leigh, as the last few minutes of his reign count down. Last year's champion.
So the flop is 9, 5, 8. Goes check, check. So 7 on the turn. And Dan makes it 1.6 million. Nick makes the call. And it's a 9 diamonds on the river. Check from Nick. Which is which was out of turn, so Dan's got to push it away. First. Makes it 1.7 million. I think Nick's going to call. So it's 8-10 for Dan, and 8-10 is going to be good enough.
He's just going to colour up some of those chips.
Dan just chipping away. There's just chipping away.
Yeah. Yeah, he's playing well. So 8 minutes left at the level. Blinds currently 400, 800 with an 800 ante. And there'll be a break after the next level, so approximately 48 minutes if we get that far. And indeed, I guess if the players choose to take a break at that time.
Yeah, so another flop, which is King Deuce 7. Check from Nick. Dan bets 800,000. Which Nick makes the call. Queen of Diamonds on the turn, goes check, check. And Jack of Clubs on the river. And Nick bets 2 million, which has been called. Nick shows 7 deuce, and it's King 8 for Dan. So 7 deuce is good.
Nice hand.
So raise from Nick there, that gets through. So we can see a flop. And it's 7 Queen 10. And Dan bets out 800,000. which Nick calls. Three of spades on the turn. Plays check, check. Three of clubs on the river. Nick bets 2 million. And makes the call. Nick shows Jack 9, and it's pocket deuces for Dan. And the deuces are good.
It's all gone very quietly. The players both seem pretty knackered, I think, by now. Maybe just caught in the moment.
Yeah, I mean, they started at midday today, so
yeah, it's been a long old session.
What are we now? We're 10:30 in the evening here.
Yeah.
So Dan makes up the small blind option on Nick. Nick says them all in. Dan says a call.
Oh wow!
So Nick has got King 7 and Dan has got pocket jacks. It's the King 7 at risk here. If the jacks hold for Dan, he is going to be the champion. And the board is Queen, King, Ace puts the King 7 ahead. Another King just needs to avoid the 10. And does, and it's going to be a double up for Nick.
Wow. What a flop. And turn. So Dan must have thought that was it. And not to be.
So it's 10,850,000 is the count, Des. So that's what Nick is going to get doubled up, which is going to put him up to about 22 million now. So it's going to be 22 million plays 30 million.
Yeah. Not that much in it, Lee.
Yeah, that's very much even things up. What a hand. Not a huge amount either player did wrong there, Des, when the the chips go in the middle, and then you just rely on what the cards do. Can't fault anything there.
No, I think if you're Dan, though, you're sat there with a pair of jacks, you're thinking, this is it, I got him now.
Yeah, but you're probably always knowing you're going to be facing at least
racing,
one.
right?
You're facing at least one over card, aren't you? You're thinking, yeah.
Lee Barnes says, unlucky Dan. Quite right.
Well, all you can do is go again. So the blinds have gone up to now 500,000, 1 million.
You gotta laugh, Lee. Royce says, King 7, the new nuts. What a guy. There's nothing wrong with the king heads up.
Seat open, 35.5.
Bet from Nick on that. Take that one down, and on we go. Obviously, we've gone from a situation where Nick was, significantly the shorter stack and was looking for a spot, really, to all of a sudden now, he's not in a rush anymore, is he?
Well, he's dangerous now. If he doubles at this point, I mean, it destroys Dan's tourney, so he is in a completely different position. I would agree.
Yeah. So we've got a flop here of 4 King 10, which is checked by Dan, and it's 1.1 million is the bet from Nick, and that's good enough to take down that one.
Didi says Nick looks more composed heads up. Well, he's probably somewhat relieved that he's got his last push through. So a little more comfortable now, for sure. And Didi, I assume you're Dave. That's what I'm thinking.
So Nick makes up the small blind, and Dan checks his option. So we're going to see a flop of 9 King Queen. Check from Dan. 1.1 million is the bet from Nick, and that's good enough to take that one down. So Dan raises this up to 2 million, and Nick folds. So Nick raises 2.6 million, and Dan folds. Tip for tat there. So we see a flop here of 6, 10, 3. 1.5 million is the bet from Dan, and Nick folds.
So what time will we back open at tomorrow, Lee? Is it midday for the mini main?
That's 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. Little bank
Nick.
holiday lie-in then, do you reckon?
Yeah, Nick raises to 2.6 million. And Dan re-raises it to 6 million. And after a little thing, Nick decides to fold. So Dan makes up small blind. So we're going to see another flop, and it is deuce, queen, 10, all spades on this one. Check from Nick, and Dan bets that million. Called by Nick, so we'll see a turn card, and it's the king of clubs. Goes check, check. 9 of hearts is on the river. Nick bets 2.5 million. And Dan folds. So Nick makes up the small blind, and Dan checks his option. So the board is 9-3-4. Dan bets that a million. Nick makes the call. Jack of diamonds on the turn. A check, check, 6 of diamonds on the river. Goes check, check. 10 high for Dan. Ace queen is good for Nick.
He was playing that slow.
Well, I mean, you say playing it slow, but the difficulty is he's not actually hit. So you know, it's in this situation on that board, you could easily be up against a pair, and your ace queen's not good at all.
What was the pre-flop bet, Lee?
Oh, it was minimum. Which is
trapping,
too much. We've only had one so far where Nick raised it up, and Dan's repopped it to 6 million. That's everything else so far has pretty much been min.
Yeah. I can see Neil over there. He's out of camera shot. He's holding his pint, but he's patiently railing, obviously desperate for Dan to win this.
I can get him in shot very quickly.
There you go.
There you go. There's the rail.
Oh no! Don't put me in shot. Don't put me in shot.
There's the rail. So we see another flop here of 3-5 ace. So Nick bets $1 million, and that's good enough.
But Leigh, we know well the value of grassroots organisers, right? We're getting those games on and making sure everything's clean and all of the cards are present and stuff like that. Do you know? That's it. That's it. It's near. You've got maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes left as the main event champ.
I know, exactly, yeah. I just went out there as well, just go move table.
Bad timing.
Ace king is probably tense, classic.
So Nick raises it up to 4 million, and Dan makes the call.
This could be chunky.
So deuce 5-4, couple of clubs on the flop, goes check check. Another 5 on the turn. Check from Nick. Dan makes it 2 million. Nick makes the call, so we're going to see a river card. And is the 4 of hearts.
Dan finds another bet.
And it's 5 million. And Nick makes the call. 8-6 for Dan. It's King 8 for Nick. And Nick scoops a big pot there.
Wowzers. Momentum has changed, Leigh.
Yeah, neither of them have anything there. So from Nick's point of view, it was an amazing call, really.
Yeah.
Clearly got a read or something, which told him that he felt his King 8 was going to be good.
Absolutely. And Nicholas says Neil is a legend. Good luck, Danny boy. Indeed.
Nick says them all in, and Dan folds. I think Nick very much feels he's got down on the ropes here now.
Yeah,
very much. Dan is Dan's playing about maybe 15 million now, so it's pretty much a 2-1 chip lead for Nick. So they can see a flop, and it is 10-7 king, goes check check. So we'll see the 9 of spades on the turn. 1.5 million from Nick. And Dan fold.
How do we re-find our mojo in this position, Leigh?
It's all about, as we always say on these final tables, it's about momentum. It's not so much about refinding your mojo. It's about staying controlled and not feeling like you've got to rush anything. He's still got 15 million chips there. He gets one double up through, and he's back up to 30 million, which is more than half the chips in play. So it is way from over. But the actual toughest thing to do here is actually keeping your emotions in check to realise that you're actually still in a good spot. You're still in with a very good shout of winning the extra £6,000 that's up for grabs here. No need to rush anything, but Nick is all in.
This could be an interesting spot.
And
he's considering it, isn't he?
Dan is grabbing his time bank chips. He's the only one of the two that's got any time bank chips left. He's got about 4 or 5 of them.
So
he's used one of them to have another 30-second think about this.
So what's he got here? Ace 7, ace 8? He's got to have an ace, right? Ace 10
Does
maybe?
he want to have a stab at it here? We will find out. He says, I'm going to call. He says, I'm going to call. So Dan has got ace 5. Nick has got ace 6. It's the ace 5 that is at risk here. If the ace 6 holds, it's the championship for Nick. Here we go. 6 on the flop. 6, 7, 3. Options for Dan though. 9 is no good, but he has other options as well. 10 on the river, and it's going to be done, and that is it. Dan is going to finish.
Wow.
Dan Fisher's going to finish in second place, picking up £9,000.
Well played,
and
Dan.
our winner and our
Amazing.
champion is going to be Nick Bowyer. He is
well
going to be
played,
our
Nick.
winner.
Incredible
Going to pick
game.
up £15,000, the APAC gold medal, and the WCOAP bracelet. Nick is our WCOAP 2024
Wow.
champion. He is the winner. We'll stay on the stream bit whilst the guys are getting sorted out. Tom's going to have a chat with Dan. Neil's there as well. We're going to get set up for a picture because we are going to need some pictures, Nick. That is for sure. That is for sure. We're going to need some pictures. Tom will get those arranged. But what a great final table that was, Des.
Yeah, an
amazing,
awesome final
amazing
table.
conclusion.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. That ran for just under 4 hours. It was, there were many different phases of it. It will be interesting for all of the finalists just to maybe watch that back at some point.
Can we
Great.
set it here? Is that right? Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to switch back to the gimbal, Lee?
Yeah, if you will. Yeah, if you can do, that'd be great.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's on the table there, my friend. There you go. And we'll maybe you stay for an extra couple of minutes, but really, really fantastic last 40 minutes, to an hour from Nick. Momentum did switch a bit. Dan found it a little bit harder to tackle that, and ultimately he made a stand. And, he's one digit off, right? Ace-5 against Ace-6. That's desperately unlucky to find yourself in that spot. We did say any ace heads up. Super, super strong. But there you go. Nick is your champ.
Yeah, absolutely superb from him. We're going to sort out some photos and some bits and pieces. We'll get Nick all sorted out. But
Well, I think, Lee, what we may, depending on how long Tom takes for this, we may break the thread.
no, I think we can
No,
get in
actually,
and get
we're
this.
here.
We're getting this.
We're
We're going to get
pretty
it.
close now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Where did all the chips go? So there is Nick getting his winner's picture taken. And ironically, right behind me is Chris Ralston, last year's champ. It's like a passing of a torch. So Royce says, champion, yes, Nick. Much love from Lucy and Annabelle. And Adele says, never mind, Dan, at least you get a pint from MJ. Quite right. And well-deserving of a pint, Dan is. And we shouldn't forget, he's walking away with £9,000 from a £210 buy-in, plus an 8-pat silver, plus the respect of all of us who watched on for this very engaging final table.
Can you just get a? Yeah, can we get it? Yeah, we could just get a. Yeah, that'd be lovely if we could.
As Nick starts his media duties.
There you go. Perfect.
So as we finish the main event for 2024, we see Nick just getting some pictures taken. These will be up on Poker News tomorrow, and of course you're likely to see them across other parts of APAT across the the whole of 2025 until we arrive back at the next WCOAP. So I think with that, we're going to leave you guys at home. Thank you for joining us for this evening. It was lovely to have you. We've got a lot going on tomorrow, as we said, and we hope you guys can join us for that. Leigh's walking with the cam. I don't know if he's just going to show us what's happening elsewhere.
Well, there's still loads going on, Des. I mean, this is the mini main day 1D. There's 44 players left out of the 111 that started this, so they're still going strong. This is the mixed triple draw low ball, which has got 18 left of the 77 that started this. So you can see there's just breaking another table there. Oh, sorry, no, there we go. So that's still going on. Let me get down to the bottom here, because we've still got down here the PLO 8, which looks like they're on a final table. They are. So let me see who we've got on this final table. Whether I can get up there and so you can see that. So Peter Thorpe is on that final table. I can see Steve Jelinek is on there. Kai Hutchison's on there. Ben Burnhill is on there. Nathan Bars. So Garth Stanton. So loads of players. So they're all about setting up here to play this final table. There is the aforementioned Ben Burnhill. And Kai. There's Kai in the final table of that. So, and I think I've got every. Am I missing? Oh, I'm missing the win the button. Hang on a minute. I'm assuming that hasn't finished yet. So let me go up and find that. Des, we want to leave them out, would we?
Nah, we don't want to leave anybody out.
So there's cash games going on here, so don't want to get in the way of anybody happily playing.
I think 9
happily
left.
Playing cash. We avoid the cash players so as not to upset them. So let me get up to the top here, and there should be 9 on the. This looks like the win the button final table, if ever I saw one. Yeah, there you go. So some faces you'll recognise from earlier on the stream. So these guys are playing for still 9 of them left on this. So no, you're playing cash, aren't you? It's not even the right one. Where's the win the button? Oh, see open. I'll sit down. Yeah, that'll be good. Where's the win the button then? I literally followed for the clock. That's all I literally followed for the clock. It's like they were up in the corner. That's Adam Weir dealing cash. So where is the win the button then?
Win the button is 52, Leigh. 52.
Peter Temple, he got a seat on the 1-1. Peter Temple.
It's got to be, is it that one? 52? I can't believe we've lost an entire tournament. Maybe they've moved it down. Players on a break, perhaps. You think that's it, Leigh? He's just flying around like a drone. Are you still... Oh, right. Oh, we've lost Leigh. Oh, well, that explains it. We've lost his audio. So I think with that, guys, we shall leave it there for tonight. Hopefully, if we don't see you at D2D tomorrow, you can join us for a stream at some point during the day. So thank you and have a great rest of evening.